Welcome to the PP Show, where the D-Gens come to have discussions. Here at the PP Show, everyone has a voice, no matter how long you've traded in the markets. We love all opinions at the PP Show, and we hope you do too. Always remember this show is mainly comprised of opinion, speculation, and entertainment. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show, you dildo enthusiasts. God bless Teddy and G-Merica. One last thing, always remember, talk is cheap. It takes money to buy whiskey.
We've just received a report that New York City is under attack by swarms of killer bees. They have been seen approaching from Brooklyn, the Bronx, Queens, and Staten Island. We urge you to stay in your homes at this time, as we will be bringing you up-to-the-minute information. This just in. Police are reporting that there's a man on top of a skyscraper ready to jump. I'm told that he is possibly Old Dirty, a member of the Wu-Tang Clan. The police suspect that there could be some connection between this Old Dirty man and the killer bee.
Fellas, how the fuck you doing tonight, man? It's great to see you guys. Hope you guys have been well, man, as we get together again on the PP Show, man, to talk about the goddamn stocks that we love, man. So right on, it's good to see you guys tonight. How about that fucking GameStop, man? $32 today, man. Right on. Again, if you were one of those lucky people yesterday who got into some of these options that were a little bit fucking overpriced, things like that. Hopefully it paid off a little bit, man, today. And again, when it comes to options, calls, things like that, PB loves it, man. Give me the most goddamn degenerate thing that I can invest in, and absolutely I'm all for it, man. So right on. It's good to see you guys tonight. Hope you guys have been well. We have a lot on our plate tonight, fellas, so get comfortable. A lot of stuff pertaining to GameStop, Bed Bath & Beyond. There's some HBC stuff, things like that, so keep that in mind tonight, man. A lot of stuff to dive into. So, with that being said, it's great to see you guys, man. We're going to jump into the show tonight, and it's great to see you guys this evening. So keep in mind, man, I am not a financial expert, nor am I a financial advisor. So please seek the avenues to do so. You're not going to find it here. A lot of this is opinion. A lot of this is speculation. And a whole bunch of it is entertainment, if you haven't guessed it already. We like getting together. We like talking about the stock, and that's really all there is to it, man. So keep in mind, any guests who come to the show, man, nobody here is a professional. So if you hear any opinion, speculation, TA, things like that, keep in mind, man, nobody here is a professional. We like getting together. We like talking about the stock, and that's really all there is to it, man. So right the fuck on, man. Let's start the show. Let's not waste any more time. I know a lot of people out there are antsy, man. So we'll jump straight into it tonight. So chat, please give a warm welcome. I guess Michael's not here. So we'll go ahead and bring in ABC in here tonight. So chat, give a warm welcome to none other than the legend ABC.
What is he doing?
He's beginning to believe.
All right, ABC, how the fuck are we doing tonight, man? It's good to see you back on the show, my man.
I'm good, man. How are you?
Good. Yeah, fantastic, man. Just riding these fucking calls, man. I mean, again, like earlier Monday, I was riding some 40s. They went up by quite a bit. I let go of them, sold them, and then jumped back into the same 40s yesterday for I think about like a third of the value, man. So riding those again, man. Any additional profit goes straight into more shares, things like that. You know me, ABC, when it comes to these three specific stocks. Bed Bath is obviously my biggest position. Number 2 being GameStop, and then number 3 being IEP. So yeah, man, I gotta say it's been pretty fucking exciting with some of these options, and obviously the price of GameStop lately.
Yeah, she's rising. What is it after hours? 32 something right now?
32, I think. Yeah, I haven't checked it. I think just around there. Yes.
Yeah, there's speculation that DFE might be exercising some calls. I don't know.
Yeah.
Definitely some FTDs coming soon as well. So yeah, it could be a big week, man. I've got one call strike, $128 on Friday. We'll see if that magic.
Okay, yeah, right on. Yeah. And I agree with you, with like DFE and what he's doing. I mean, he's basically stopped posting his position. I think there's a reason for that. And again, he could be sitting still on the $120,000 calls. I don't think he's at all going to sell any of those. I do think that every single one of them will, in fact, be exercised again, so that it kind of puts him at that 17 million shares that he's obviously gunning for. But the route at which, when he's going to exercise them, you could be very correct. He could be exercising through the week. We could see him start to exercise these all the way through to the 21st. Nobody really knows. And that's why I think he's no longer posting his position, because I don't, if you were him, you wouldn't want to give the enemy, obviously, like, some ammo to what you're doing and things like that. So I think that him just kind of showing his position, got everybody kind of rallied up and things like that. And honestly, man, he very well could be exercising them at this point. So it could be very likely. So
yeah, I agree, man.
Cool.
We don't know.
Right on. Well, it's good to see you tonight, ABC. We have a lot of stuff to dive into tonight, man. Again, a lot of stuff GameStop related, Bed Bath related, HBC related. There's actually a new lawsuit as well pertaining to Overstock, Bed Bath and Beyond Estate, and also Robinhood, man. So I did get that from Twofull, so we will be able to dive in that tonight a little bit later this evening, too. So let's get this show on the road, man. We do have a lot of people backstage here. It is a full house tonight here at the PP Show. So chat, please give a warm welcome to none other than Michael. All right, Michael, what's going on, my man? Didn't think you'd be here on time, man. Good to see you tonight. You're muted.
Running a little bit late.
Are we back at the gym or what?
Of course. Just till we hit 60.
Yeah, wife won't let you back in the house till it's till you're a fucking millionaire. Right?
Yeah, I thought that was gonna happen. No, she's awesome.
Good to see you. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I've been getting up really early. Plus, I did a hype video last night, like late last night.
Oh, okay.
Just because I was feeling it, and yeah, so I just slept like a baby after market hours, and I just took a nap, and it was like just peacefully knowing that I think we're gonna run tonight. I mean, yeah, it's looking like it wants to.
Yeah, this week's very exciting, and just for the tinfoil people out there, man, Run Lola Run officially comes, I think, to in 4K or something this Friday. So obviously there's some tinfoil behind the Run Lola Run stuff. So very interesting stuff. Michael, it's good to see you tonight. I'm going to go ahead and welcome the rest of these fellas backstage here. You guys probably know Jamie. He was on the show one other time. He is here to show a little bit of TA this evening as we open up the show tonight, and then we will jump into the rest of this stuff. So keep that in mind. We're going to go ahead and bring all of these fellas in just on one intro. So Chad, please give a warm welcome to all of these fine gentlemen. All right, what's going on? We got a full house tonight. We got Sloppy, Jamie, Travis, the stripper. We got Pang with us tonight, and also Wally Buck. Good to see you guys, man. How the fuck are you guys doing this evening? Right on, excellent. Yeah. Jamie, we can't hear you.
You gotta yell louder.
You got me now?
Yeah, there we go, man.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Right on. It's good to see you tonight, Jamie. Again, I wanted to, obviously last time we had you on, we were looking at some TA. We ended up having a pretty excellent week after that. Maybe Jamie's the good luck charm here at the PB Show. Why don't we start with a little bit of TA tonight? Jamie, you can kind of tell us where we're heading, some of these indicators, things like that, man. Would love to hear it tonight, man.
Good bet. Glad to be of assistance. Yeah, and to be that lucky charm. Right, that's well handy. Yeah, so the TA, well, there's a couple of things to talk about. GameStop clearly doing very well this year, up 80% year to date.
Wow.
SPY, it's only up 12%, right? So we're beating everybody in every other market. But those markets are facing a little bit of uncertainty, right? Those markets where democracy meets crisis. We're leaving the harbour, entering those stormy waters, seeing a little bit of choppy volatility. And let's take a look at the charts. How do I share my screen here then?
So you're going to click that little screen at the bottom on Restream. It says share screen, has an arrow, and then you can just select what you want to show. While you're doing that, I'm just going to read back some of these tips here that I missed. We got Luke Woods out there with the 20 goddamn PP Show memberships. Appreciate your support, Luke. Again, if you got a membership out there, be sure to give a thanks in the chat, fellas. It's the least you can do. We also got DRS for the win with the 2. Hit the like LFG, and also Thunder's Creeper with the 2. Where's Plur? I don't know, man, but Plur sure is fucking missing out on again, like one of the greatest times to be alive, man. So Plur, if you're out there, would love to see you again on the PP Show, man, and hope you're well. We got Afterburner out there with the 1 PP Show gifted membership, Maffles with the 5 PP Show gifted membership. Appreciate your guys' support tonight. Again, if you got a membership, be sure to give a thanks in the chat. We also got Mo Money with a 2. Why is Wally Buck here? Wally Buck's gonna give his opinion tonight, man. Already getting ripped on, so right on. All right, let's hear it from Jamie tonight. Jamie, let me approve your screen here. Excellent. All right, everybody can see what is being shared to them now. Let's see it tonight. Let's hear it, man.
Great. So it's price action first here, just taking a look at that as our leading indicator. And we can see this move up that we had, most of it, people describing it as institutionally driven, happening off market, lots of gaps. And the high then in at around 64 recently. This retracement that took us back down, the low in that in at around 1794, and then various interesting levels around it. So in terms of indicators, the first thing I look to would be price itself. And the low to the high allows us to use this tool called a Fibonacci retracement tool that measures various sequences within this move to the top side and that retracement of price back against the previous trend. And it's like a measuring stick. And that move, we measure that against those levels within it. And you can see that since price went up to this high, the retracement back below a 236 often takes you down to a golden pocket. That's the 618 and the 0.65. And that's the area where price made its way down to and then reacted from, since we've had highs of in at around $40 and a couple of different places left on the chart. So I've got here on the 4-hour time frame this little gap, and today price action came in the top side of that zone and bounced away and defended the gap, and it was a beautiful move up after that. Slightly lower if price was to get lower, and we know there's participants out there who would like it so, would be take you down to Roaring Kitty's entry there, but so far it looks quite safe in the high 21s. And should it go any further, you've got an obviously brilliant buy the dip opportunity at the last gap and the bottom side of that golden pocket and another test of that area. But I don't think price is getting there, certainly not in the immediate future. We're looking to the top side. And again, I use a Fibonacci retracement to measure that. It would be taking it from this high that price got to back down to this low at $17 and change, and using this Fibonacci sequence you see on the other side of the screen here to measure the strength of that move back down again. And so we can tell from that how far this and how strong price would need to be to reach various targets. So the first one to break would be 23.82. That's the 236. And we say that when price manages to retrace back beyond a 236, that's a significant move. And we could see a further push on price up to higher levels. A test of a 382 and then a return would be normal in a trending move. So if price can then exceed $28, $29, then you'll see a resurgence. It'll be a signal to the market that the strength is back and that those previous highs are under threat. A golden pocket matches up with the previous 236, and that gives us this rotational symmetry across price. And it's like a magnet drawing us up there to around $40. I say us, but it's obviously GameStop. And when we get beyond those levels, you've obviously got a 786 and 886. These are areas to look to. But the previous high here in at around 63 during trading hours would be where we would probably look. And all of those areas match up with these historical resistance points that we've gone through 2 of most recently. Go back and beat that one at 27. Then there's an intermittent point in around $32. We're here at market close. Then you're looking at these targets up at around 49 and back around 63. Once they're exceeded, it's that post-market touch of 80 and a previous high in 2021. And then the all-time high back at around 120 up to 100, about $120 there. That's the next targets to the top side. All of those are possible. And then further still, we use the Fibonacci extension side of things here. And you can see that even beyond those levels, you could be looking to 143. And if the absolute world goes totally bonkers, Who knows?
That's the world I want to be a part of, man. Let's hear if we're going bonkers, man. What price targets are we looking at?
Holy bonkers! You're looking at maybe $500.
Jesus Christ! Which would put it at 2,000 pre-split.
Sorry, what was that?
2,000 pre-split. Is that right?
That would be absolutely lovely, right?
Nah, Jamie, those are rookie numbers. You got to bump those numbers up.
Wow,
Yeah, infinite.
We'll look to the RSI. That's another indicator that you might be looking to use, or it's a very popular one, perhaps the world's most popular indicator, other than price itself, would be that RSI. It's a really popular relative strength index. I talked about it as the power behind price the last time I was on the show. It's made up of, it's well developed by J. Wells Wilder.
Okay.
He was a mechanical engineer who turned in a technical analyst, a classical chartist, and he published it first in his book, New Concepts in Technical Trading Systems, in 1978. And it's the world's most popular indicator there. We'd also look at the moving average. It's the MACD trend following momentum indicator, and it shows the relationship between the averages of the price there. You subtract the 26 period exponential moving average from the 12 period, and then you put a 9 period exponential across that. As they cross, you get buy and sell signals. And if they're happening, below the center line on the RSI, then price is above a 200 period moving average, that might be a really strong buying opportunity, especially if you see it on a 30-minute time frame and above. You'll get a little swing scalp maybe on a 4-hour or a daily or a weekly. You might be looking at a really strong trending move. You've had that cross. That's really positive. You've had a test of the center line on the RSI, caught your own moving average, and are moving higher again. It's measured to 100, but it can go far higher. And if it does take out those topside targets, the extensions that you look to, they're the only place we have to measure where price might go in a blue sky breakout. So people might say, hey, that's crazy, TradeSpot, and you're talking nonsense. But technical analysis isn't really for predicting the moves in price. It's for looking at the science behind it, right? And then we all take our own trading decisions off that. And I'm looking for extremely high targets on GameStop.
I think we all are, to be honest with you, man. Shit's exciting. DFV is sitting on nearly $300 million worth of fucking shares, man. He's got about, I think it was 30 million allocated in cash on the side, which, a lot of people can, especially what I'm thinking is that he's utilizing this 30 million of cash on hand, maybe to exercise some of these calls kind of early on. I did want to get your opinions, what your thoughts are. I actually have a few questions. Obviously Monday we had a move to, I think, about 46, and then we kind of came back all the way down to 28. I want to know your opinion. Do you think that short sellers are just piling on this fucking thing nonstop? Short interest, to my knowledge, is still increasing. Some people are comparing it that it's a lot higher than it was in 2021, which could be a lot more explosive. We have 4x the amount of shares here due to the split, things like that. So this can get very explosive very quickly. So I wanted to get your opinion on it. And real quick, before you answer that, I'm just going to read back some of these tips here. We got Hanky with the 5 PPShow gift of memberships. Appreciate your support, Hank. Again, if you got a membership, fellas, be sure to give thanks in the chat. Clumps out there with a PP membership. Watch that Malone interview with the ex-GameStop manager. Very interesting stuff. Piddles with the 5. Where's Jake the Plant? That's a great question. We got Mo Money out there with the 2. Jamie, I love you, man, and your passion, no Diddy. We also got Sarah out there with the 5, or Sarara with the 5. Jamie is a legend. I'm excited to be here witnessing history being made. Right on. We love Jamie here at the PP Show. Mo Money with the 2. Was Jake to be a BlackRock plant that was recalled? We also got Jealous Money with the 2. Hit the like button, you trespassing hoe bags. We got Ace Ventura with the 2. Sarara with the 2. Mo Money with the 5. Jamie is a GME pro. You copies on the stream with him and learning. Mo Money with the 2. Jamie, the floor will be the US GDP. Right on. Minor with the 2 from Ace. We also got Mo Money with the 5. Is Michael still streaming from the men's toilet in the gym? Mo Money with the 2. We will make it to Uranus before NASA. And also Kevin, the 3 loan guy with the 20. Appreciate the love, fellas. The note says, "Don't leave me here. Do you leave or stay? Stay with my friend Roaring Kitty. Stay with the ape friends. 70K deep in calls and getting another loan to exercise. Don't leave me here. Stay diamond hand together." All right, right on. You heard it from Kevin, the guy with 3 fucking loans out there, buying options. Jamie, let's hear it, man. So in terms of DFE, he's sitting on nearly 300 million in cash. Obviously, we had that dip on Monday from 46 down to 28. Let's start with the DFE. What are your thoughts on this massive position that he has essentially built here today?
My thoughts are twofold. One, well done to the guy. Congratulations. Absolutely fantastic work. Absolutely loving it. You know, for sure all of us are looking at it in an extreme sense of like affinity with the guy and how he's going about doing his work, and admiration for how well he does it. Absolutely brilliant work. Also, it's true to say that there's a lot of people trying to focus their attention on him in a negative light. It seems that like these choppy waters in the markets, it's taken on a really strange, nasty cut and tone, isn't it? When trust, which itself is quite simple, it doesn't require a deep understanding of market mechanics. We don't need to or care about specifically how it is that DFE wants to go about executing his options. So you do it in tranches. Those tranches give him increasingly more money because it increases the price.
Right.
That allows him to exercise even more and more and more, always pushing up that price in the same mechanism we saw with the gamma squeeze. It's not the market makers rushing to collect the shares for him that push it up exclusively. It's everybody in concert, not in coordination, but in their own accord, making these decisions because they believe in the stock and we like what we're doing here. So you get a sense like of this lack of trust generally in the markets at large, that with this attacks that we see from Jay Clayton, the former head of the SEC, trying to say that what Roaring Kitty's doing, despite not being illegal, is something that they should try and stop, and it leaves an impression on many that reminds us of when Roaring Kitty was summoned before Congress to answer questions as a single individual in a really unfair, unbalanced system. Mm-hmm. So we find ourselves, again, thinking about how he was exploited, how we could potentially be being exploited, how his details and aspects and schedulings of his trades are being revealed by people who shouldn't be allowed to even have oversight of that data. Those same people who are clearly capable of driving price against us. And like ABC said at the top of the show, they'll do it using FTDs because they don't have the shares. And so it's this idea of the people who should be providing oversight, instead distracted in their worship of liquidity, who themselves believe in prioritizing closing the spread over true price discovery or ensuring equitable access to the markets for people like DFE. So we look at that position and we admire how he's handling himself. We also feel a deep sense of mistrust out there. And it's why, this mistrust is because we can't see all of the details. It's opaque what's going on. The machinations of those market makers who don't only trade delta neutral, but they're also part of organizations and firms that take directional trades and then themselves have oversight over details they shouldn't know. And it pits us against the impossible. So we cheer this guy on for the amazing work he's doing, and we try to, in our own way, do our own version and making a little bit of difference and shining a light. That's why I'm so glad to be here on this show.
Good.
And, among leaders like you and the people here we're sharing the screen with, and Roaring Kitty, and Ryan Cohen, Dave Portnoy, Rocky Outcrop, Bill Pulte, Susan Trimba, Gimme the Gist, Houston Wade, I saw him on your show before.
Right on, yeah.
We make a difference and we make profit along the way. We realize our power, they're afraid of us, and they know they can't stop us, because once we look around and see who it is that's standing next to us, we'll see ourselves as unstoppable. We'll take everything. So, yeah.
Right on, man. Beautifully said tonight, Jamie. So I am curious, where does that kind of place us with this Friday? A lot of us degenerates are obviously trading some of these options, things like that. I don't know if you fuck around with options, but I fucking personally love them, man. Where does that kind of place us, man, heading into Friday and into next week? I mean, do you think that we have do you think that there's a chance that Friday we see some explosive action? Do you think that their short sellers are just going to try to bring this down as close as they can to max pain, or what are your thoughts here heading into the rest of the week for some of the people out there? And then if any of the other fellows have some questions for Jamie, we'll let them go, and then we do need to move on with the show. So Jamie, let's hear it. What are your thoughts, man? With some price action Friday into early next week.
Thanks for that's a really specific and clear question. Cheers. Brother, right? So the end of the week, you might look at the weekly candle closes, you might look at the extreme wicks and prices, and you might look at Roaring Kitty's objectives, you might look at the option chain, see those important nodes which have got the highest volume at various strike prices, and see 30, 40, 45, 50 bucks as important. That matches up with what we see on the chart. We see closing prices on weekly candles back in the past up at around $40, others back up at around 57, 58, and then you're talking about possibly going back towards all-time highs. It's best, of course, to manage people's expectations, to say we've already come so far, we've already done so well that this is good enough, what we're at right now.
More.
Yeah, we want more. All of us do. Wouldn't it be exciting to see moves higher if it does pick up a degree of velocity, if that volatility continues, that dispersal of prices over a range increasing? So great range, same distant time. We're looking at moves back above 40, back above 50. If that's going to happen, it's not inconceivable. We're at 32 now post-market. $8 in a day, that's not that crazy for GameStop. You could easily see it push to 40 by the end of Thursday. If it is that it's traveling at pace, people are going to turn around to their shopkeeper, their fucking dog walker, their fucking newspaper delivery man, the girl at the checkout, the guy at the pump. They're going to tell them, have you got GameStop? Isn't it fucking crazy? And everybody's going to say, well, not enough, and get some more. Because people don't need to understand the deep market mechanics. They need to see price moving. If it's moved a considerable distance, then it'll probably move some more. So let's fucking look from 40, yeah? If we beat that, let's look for 50. If we beat that, let's look for 60. If we beat that, it's 80. And if we beat that, it's over 100. And then nothing's going to fucking stop us, PP.
Right on, man. That's what I like to hear, man. Again, I mean, excellent TA tonight. Again, a lot of people out there, they just they need to understand some of these things, right? And I think the major thing are a lot of these gaps that tend to get filled and things like that when it comes to TA. So I do find the benefit of obviously learning some of this stuff here. With that being said, real quick, I'm going to read back some of these tips, and then if any of the other fellas here want to ask Jamie anything, they can, and then we'll go ahead and move on with the show tonight. Pour out there with the 2. Wally likes attention, good or bad. He can't say no. We also got L Jeff with the 28. Appreciate the love, L Jeff. Can Jamie talk about LPSN? Thank you so much. We're actually about to move on from the TA stuff. We have a lot of stuff to dissect tonight. Maybe next time for sure when we have a little bit more time. Absolutely. Mo Money with the 2. Sal is being kept in a basement by squeezes. So Mo Money also with the 2. Yo, Wally, what are your thoughts on an XSS mod? And also Mo Money with the 5. Stop, Jamie. I'm getting jacked and I'm in a public place. Right on, man. Does anybody have any questions here for Jamie before we go ahead and move on tonight? Well, what an excellent analysis here of potential price targets. I love it, man. Go ahead, Travis.
No, I don't really have a question. I just want to say, Jamie, I love what you do. Keep up the great work. Keep the momentum coming, man. Keep putting it out there. Let's spread the noise.
Thank you, Travis, man.
You
guys are absolute leaders of what's happening here. I speak about trust, and that's why it's so important that you guys shine a light, right? You give the retail trader, the leaders here, and the people I was mentioning, you give retail traders, you give them back the dignity in that one small step, which together is one giant fucking leap. And I appreciate so much the work you do, Travis.
Right on, man. Right on, man. We appreciate it. You know, we just like getting together, having a couple beers, having a good time, man. So with that being said, Jamie, loved having you on the show this evening. Chat, let's get some love for Jamie, and you can follow him on Twitter. I think it's just Trade Spotting on Twitter. Is that right?
_ Trade Spotting. That's me.
Okay, got it. So if you guys want to follow Jamie, man, follow him on Twitter. He's got some excellent work that he does, a beautiful community. So with that being said, Jamie, loved having you on the show, and chat, let's get some love on his way out. Take care, man.
Thank you so much. So grateful for being here. I love you guys. See you soon.
All right. Love you too, buddy. See ya. All right, right on. You heard it from Jamie tonight. Excellent stuff, man. I mean, again, you know, something obviously is happening here, right? The return of DFV, having a $300 million bet on GameStop, man. I mean, this is absolutely fucking nuts. GameStop sitting on $2 billion in cash. We're still sitting here, obviously, without any answers pertaining to Bed Bath & Beyond and where our equity is going to go. But if you ask me, man, the tinfoil is clear enough. DFV would not make all these fucking odes and shit to baby and tinfoil and this and that. So I think it's very clear. I think it's clear as day that something most certainly is happening. Not only, you know, just for GameStop shareholders out there, but also some of us also invested in Bed Bath. So right on, man. Excellent stuff from Jamie tonight. All right, let's jump into some of this stuff. I think Kinky Sex, can we get a mic test real quick?
Hello.
Hey, what's going on, man? Did you want to present what you came on the show to discuss tonight, or do you want to wait a little bit before we get into that?
I don't care. Whenever.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Well, what does it pertain to? Because I have a little bit of DD here. Oh, it does? Okay. Yeah. Why don't we jump into that real quick? Because there are a lot of questions out there with what the fuck's going on with HBC. I actually have some of the, once we go into that, I do want to pull up some of the paperwork that, you know, they responded to with the lawyers over there. What are your thoughts? What do you want to present in terms of the HBC stuff? Let's hear it, Kiki.
I think Michael and ABC are both right.
Both right in what way?
Well, I think ABC's right that HBC is not the bad party. I'm not saying they're a good party, but they're just not the bad party, according to their defense. And then Michael is right that there was fraudulent transactions that took place, in my opinion.
All right, so let's hear it. Expand upon a little bit of it.
Well, I was going to have you read...
oh, you want me to read the lawyer response?
Whoop-ass's post, and then I was going to go into it.
Did he post today or what?
Yeah, I'll give you the link.
All right, yeah, send it here backstage. We'll pull it. We'll have Pang pull it up here for us. Pang, could you pull that up? Let's take a quick look at it tonight. A lot of questions right now with what's going on. Okay.
Is this safe for work?
Yeah. No, I just
Yeah, this is a family show. We got to be careful.
click on it. Yeah, it's fine. All right, can we zoom in here real quick? Let's take a look. Response to the gaslighters against HBC filings in the PP show. I got you, homies. All right, I want to see this. I didn't even see this post from him. All right, let's see what Whoop-ass has to say about all this. Can you get a little bit closer in there, Pang? Is that possible? There we go. All right, so this is from Whoop-ass. Response to gaslighters against HBC filings and PP show. I got you, homies. It says here, I can't even get out of this goddamn sun, man. I'm kind of stuck here. I had to do this because, well, clearly I write too fucking much, and on Teddy, my comments are never within the limit. Lols. Sorry, gang. Apparently, I'm too much DD. It goes on to say, anyways, this is for my ape, u/lift me senpai. And of course, to help support our boy u/PP seats. Right on, man. Appreciate the love. I don't know how I didn't see this tag. It was 19 hours ago. I didn't even see the post. It says here, okay, Lyft asked me to comment on the following from this thread. Says here, I realize I'll be banned for correcting this, but in this letter, Hudson Bay is noting that they weren't allowed to convert the warrants if it would make them beneficial owners of a 10% of the company. This implies they had to be selling the shares in order to stay below the 10% limit while continuing to convert the warrants as previously noted. It says here, the reason they are asserting that this is that it makes it clear they were never in ownership of 10% at any time. So they are not considered a beneficial owner for swing trade rules, and thus the lawsuit is not applicable. It says here, and below is my response. Enjoy. He says, full of shit. This is not what is said. And that commenter is trying to gaslight all of you, especially with their, I'm going to be banned because of this. And we also don't fucking ban people from the Teddy sub just for having varying opinions, things like that. Typically, automatically, there are certain things that will get you a fucking ban, which most people know what gets you banned in the Teddy sub automatically, right? I mean, that's pretty guaranteed, things like that. So a lot of the stuff, the people that we typically ban our shills, things like that. Again, if you have varying opinions, man, please feel free to share it because that's the only way we can kind of push the thesis forward, man. So just keep that in mind. But let's go ahead and read the rest of the response here. So it says basically they're trying to gaslight you. I'm going to be banned because of this. Already they are attempting to make you feel guilty for having a different opinion. Let's wreck their day and break this down, shall we? I love these exercises, by the way. I think they help promote the most on how to read the language and learn about dockets and filings. It's the gift I got and the one I encourage to share. So here we go. What is said in this screenshot sauce? And it says here, given these multiple preclusive provisions, the blockers rendered Hudson Bay's ability to obtain 10% or more beneficial ownership a contractual impossibility. Even if excess shares were issued and they were not, Hudson Bay could not vote or transfer such shares, extinguishing the essential indicia of beneficial ownership. In other words, Hudson Bay could have no beneficial ownership over such shares. Let's take that sentence by sentence. It says here, given these multiple preclusive provisions, the blockers rendered Hudson Bay's ability to obtain 10% of more beneficial ownership a contractual impossibility. Okay. What does this mean? First, it's outlining that there are multiple provisions, not just one, under which they are bound to contractually. Which they are bound to contractually. These provisions prevented them from being able to obtain the shares to then sell to the market, and certainly over the 10% limit of beneficial ownership at that. Second, it's stating that the blockers would create a violation of the contract by HBC for them to obtain over 10% of shares, and that's also true by the contract. They weren't allowed to exceed 9.99% beneficial ownership at any time, which we have discussed here at the show for a very long time. Says here, additionally, reporting requirements would have notified us if they did, because the float would have to be adjusted with each significant dilution over 5%. That's a NASDAQ requirement, by the way. And it says here, change in the number of shares outstanding. The company shall file on a form designated by NASDAQ no later than 10 days after the occurrence any aggregate increase or decrease of any class of securities listed on NASDAQ that exceeds 5% of the amount of securities of the class outstanding. It says here, so why didn't it happen? We'll get there in just a bit, but remember the judge put a freeze at the beginning of bankruptcy protection hearings on anyone over a 4.5% ownership. Pretty interesting number, don't you think? Just below the threshold. Says here, anyways, finally, third, HBC emphasized by saying it's contractual impossibility because it would be a breach of contract if they did go garner over 10%. So if they did that, not only would they be tied to the swing profit insider rule, but technically they would be in breach of a contract and would have to forfeit a lot more, plus damages from the action. This all outlines that clearly it was not in HBC's best interest nor legal right to cause the infraction that would result in them owning 10%. Pretty powerful first sentence, eh? Let's look at the next one. Even if excess shares were issued and they were not, Hudson Bay could not vote or transfer such shares, extinguishing the essential indicia, I think that's how you say it, of beneficial ownership. Yes, this is where you get to some of the meat behind the filings, as well as why this was a bear trap. So they are saying that because they could not vote or transfer the shares, you can't claim them to be beneficial ownership. Anyone who focuses solely on that will say that is implying HBC doesn't deny owning more than they should. While accurate, you need to focus more on the first half of the sentence. Even if excess shares were issued, and they were not. This is creating a conditional settlement with the beginning of if from there, and the condition is excess shares were issued. Now, that condition is agnostic of how many shares are issued. It's unclear of when or even who issued them or to whom. The only thing that is definite about this opening is that HBC is standing by their words that they did not receive shares in excess. So then where's the discrepancy? How can you open up claiming that they weren't issued, that you didn't have them, then follow up on the conditions that technically rule you out on a technicality where you have where you may have more shares? Restructure the sentence. Observe. Even if excess shares were issued, Hudson Bay could not vote or transfer such shares. While different, the above sentence is still factually true to what the original says, just in a simple sentence structure, ignores their denial. So why word it this way? Because it's more clear for you to understand what HBC is saying. Hudson Bay is telling you the following. Even if by chance we were given excess shares, we were not allowed to vote with these shares, nor could we transfer those shares. Thus, how could we sell any of those shares, especially shares with voting rights, to the market if we are not allowed to transfer them and they didn't have voting rights? It says here, you digging what I'm shipping here, and that's not even taking into account their clear denial of receiving excess shares, at least intentionally on their part. That's a bold statement to make if they were conducting illegal activity or are lying to the court, don't you think? Calling bitches out while being the perpetrator would be a death sentence for them, especially given their history. So what is HBC actually doing here? HBC are calling out fraud by someone and possibly an internal accomplice at Bed Bath & Beyond. They are saying our shares had no voting rights and were not permitted to be transferred. So we couldn't have diluted them to the market. Thus, someone else sold those shares to the market, and clearly they weren't theirs to sell. You know what that sounds like to me? Illegal naked short selling. You know what that sounds like? My bad, I got stuck in a loop there, fellas. Fancy that. Bear trap going off again. Damn thing must be broken right. Let's talk about the last part of the sentence, because I think this is the part that goes past a lot of the people, but it's rather important. Extinguishing the essential indicia of beneficial ownership. Here, they use sophisticated but deliberate language. Got to love lawyers. Indicia is another word for signs or indications. Let's replace that word and it might make more sense. Extinguishing the essential signs of beneficial ownership. Okay, so what are the signs of beneficial ownership? Want to know what's great about this? It's very clearly defined and actually a legal requirement, not driven by the market, but legal entities of government. They are used for the purpose of identifying terror funding and doing anti-money laundering tracking. We have a couple links here with the Canadian entity, the US entity, and also Australian entity here. Basically, you can find one for every country out there, and they all talk to each other. And if someone wants to be a dick about, the government, what can they do? Don't fuck with ATF and AML. They mean business. Here's the US powers alone. It's pretty clear on what acts and rules allow them to do this. It says here they're also pretty clear on what constitutes beneficial ownership and why they track it. Oh, and it's been recently updated. All right, let's go ahead and keep scrolling down here. It says here, this section that matters is the one found on page 475. And it says here, beneficial owner. The term beneficial owner, A, means with respect to an entity, an individual who directly or indirectly through any contract, arrangement, understanding, relationship, or otherwise, one, exercises substantial control over the entity, or two, owns or controls not less than 25% of the ownership interest of the entity, and B, does not include minor child as defined in the state and the entity is formed in the information of the parent or guardian if the minor is reported in accordance with this section. Number two also states here an individual acting as a nominee, intermediary, custodian, or agent on behalf of other individuals. All right, let's keep going down. It says here, okay, so what HBC is saying is that they couldn't be beneficial owners because they didn't hold more than 25% of the company, nor did they have control over the company voting rights. Oh, and I highlighted that part for fun because just think if they are a proxy holding for, I don't know, a certain guy by the initials of RC, that would also disqualify them as being in the wrong here. Want to know the kicker RC at the time because of the agreement of this letter that expired March 17, 2023, was entitled to own no more than 20% of the company. But that clearly exceeds the 10% from his provision, which only applied to HBC. I hope you folks are enjoying this so far. I get what he's saying. He's basically saying that they were in fact a proxy. He still had a standstill with the company the entire time while they still had this deal going on. And technically via his standstill that Ryan Cohen still had, he could have amassed a 20% position in Bed Bath & Beyond. And again, I think that Whoop Ass, it really lays it down pretty well here. We'll take it to Kinky Sex in just one moment. Just let me read the rest of this here. It says, fuck you, pay me money. The price keeps going up the more you fuck around. By the way, we didn't even reference any of the filings that outline all the conditions because, well, we don't have to. HBC's language is pretty clear and based on what we all knew was common knowledge and what Bed Bath referenced in their arguments against HBC in the filing they made. Clearly, this all follows, clearly this all follows under the threshold and guidelines of stuff here, but you can still find it all in the prospectus filing, so go fuck off in those and cry. Do me a favor, you / life me senpai, ask that shill who was gaslighting you and everyone else how this anal gapping felt, because shit's about to get thicker and deeper when they go to prison. I wonder what will happen there. All right, we got a nice ending there from Whoop Ass tonight. Go ahead, Travis.
I just want to correct you. I mean, you fumbled a few words.
Which one was it? Was it the?
It's gaping. It's.
And here I was gonna just be nice and not correct him. You just had to go there.
I'm looking at the goddamn charts all day, man. All right, I see it. I see gapping, man. God damn it. All right, right.
How was that going to be the only word that you mess up, PP? That's hilarious.
I thought I got that other one. I don't know the.
You actually did really well. You got all the other words right, and that was the last one you didn't get. And I was like, that surely he would get that one.
Yeah, a year of doing this, man. I mean, you'll eventually learn some words, man. So yeah, excellent stuff. All right, let's take it over to Kinky Sex about what he wanted to cover here. And real quick, before we do that, I'm just going to read back some of these tips before they pile up here. There are quite a bit. Appreciate your guys' support tonight. We got Thunderscreeper with the 5. The Scottish make my queefer quaff. Jamie Haggis all over. Right on. We got Mo Money with the 2. Yo, Travis, you benching. We also got Jealous Money with the 5. Michael, are you getting more or less customers at the gym? More than our local Wendy's. I'm totally jealous, brah, and need those damn Moass tickets. Right on. I didn't even see these, man. We got Jamie from Trade Spotting out there. Bought 10 fucking PPShow memberships. Wow, man. Appreciate your support, Jamie. Again, if you got a lucky membership out there from Jamie from Trade Spotting, be sure to give a thanks in the chat, fellas. We also got Trade Spotting Jamie out there with the jacked PP membership. Appreciate your support, man. Love you on the show. We also got Blair Barkley out there with the 100. Appreciate the love, Blair. Honorary Dr. PP, reading is basic. Laugh out loud. PhD PP will have a Jake to be accent. Power to us all. Right on, man. I'm going back for my PhD after Moass, man. You guys are all going to have to call me Dr. PP, man, after that, all right? Don Knotts out there with the 10. Good, bad, and ugly. Graveyard scene. Tuco ugly equals HBC. Angel Eyes bad equals B. Riley. Blondie good equals RC. All right, that's some good fucking tin, man. I like it. And we got Ben Dover out there with the PP membership out there. Travis is a grammar Nazi. Behave. Right on, man. Yeah. All right. Take it away for us, Kinky Sex. What are some areas that you want to highlight in this document? Because Whoop-Ass really lays it out pretty easy to follow here. I mean, they were not given shares in excess. And one side of the coin is saying, well, yeah, technically they weren't. And, due to a technicality, they were just dumping the shares on the market and never keeping a 9.9 over 9.99%. What are your thoughts on it, Kinky? Let's hear it tonight.
Well, I look at it as this is an if scenario. If this, then that. Like, if this gets dismissed based on their defense, then that means that a lot of that dilution never should have happened. Like, because it said, like, RC and affiliates from the standstill agreement, they were allowed to own up to 19.9%. So if you look at the first dilution from the HBC deal, it was like, what, 300 million shares or something dropped?
Yeah, it was about 300 million.
Or maybe it was 100 first and then 300. But either way,
it took us from
more than 20%.
Yeah, it took us from 428 to 782, right?
Yeah. So you have...
What was it, Travis?
That was more than one dilution. There were several.
Yeah, but the first one was a large one.
Yeah, the first one took us from 117 to 428.
There you go. So 300. And any, like he posted in there, any dilution over 5% of the outstanding float would have to be notified by NASDAQ or to NASDAQ. But you go with the, like, I think that there's less shares because if this is dismissed, there will be less shares in the TSO. And then, but we also have a problem because the company and the DTCC said we have 780 something million, but HBC is sitting here saying that's not possible. You see what I'm getting at?
No, yes, I do. Go ahead, Travis.
No, I was going to say, keep going. You're on a roll.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, I think ABC's right that HBC just came in, did their job for whoever they're proxying for. But I don't think that the 300 million shares, like, I have actually, I'll pull up my receipts for,
pull
I'll show
those
you
up.
the rule.
And then ABC, take over for a moment. I need to use the bathroom real quick.
Well, there's a couple concerns. One, HBC, in my opinion, was definitely acting on behalf of a third party. It was literally the opening paragraph in the contract. So they were doing a proxy. So one, they couldn't have beneficial ownership because it literally said it was for a third party. So that takes away the 16B right off the bat. The second issue is that a lot of the shares did not have voting power. And in the treasury of Bed Bath & Beyond, they held 546 million shares. And so what I'm suspecting is that those were temporarily moved out for the HBC deal and then re-put back into the treasury, because we know at one point the treasury was holding 311 million shares for a certain party. And so my suspicion is that was just simply a game of, that little ball under the cup where you move stuff around. That's really what I'm suspecting being here. So I certainly don't think HBC's been nefarious at all. They certainly can't be charged for 16B because they're acting on behalf of another party. And remember, Travis, there was a court document that dropped where they separated. We have 200 and something million with voting shares. We have another 100 million without voting shares. And that's why I believe they were specific like that, because they were trying to differentiate what shares were being used for what process. And I think it was simply just a smoke and mirrors. Now, what interests me is that HBC is literally saying, we didn't go over the percentage, we couldn't possibly, but it looks like some of them did actually hit the street, done by somebody on the board. And that's why I believe that there is also a claim or a complaint filed against the board, because there may be 3 or 4 nefarious individuals who were circumventing out of the treasury and doing something with that. That's my only suspicion here. But even if you look at the plan man's dates when he's accusing HBC, go look at the HBC contract. They couldn't effectively even sold any into the market until a certain date later. So the dates don't even match up.
I agree. And just to let you know, the voting shares were 428 million. Don't ask me how I remember that a year later, but it was 428 million.
I remember that too. Yes.
And then the other 300 were not voting shares.
So, not to
adding
like
up to 700.
So one thing though, if HBC was a proxy for someone else, that someone else could only hold 20% of the shares. So when you dilute by 80% and someone's only allowed to have 20%, that means they had to sell the vast majority onto the market. And then you think about they came with a profit. So where did the profit come from? Well, I think it came from they pre-sold them. They were just covering someone else's old FTDs. And so they didn't have to exercise them. They just like sent them right to, I don't know, the clearinghouse or whoever needed the actual to cover the FTDs.
And that's where I think somebody on the board did that action, because I believe HBC was simply employed to be a third party to represent. And it looks like, just based on HB's defense, they're literally saying that, we couldn't have done it. And so there may be a case for somebody that was on the board that possibly did what you're saying. But if you also notice, and I think Kinky Sex can confirm, these shares were also booked. They weren't planned. And so I look at the 311 that was moved from Treasury in and out. I'm not sure where they went, how it was organized. I'm just saying that I've always been a firm believer that HBC is innocent in this. I think we'll obviously find out. There's a lot more to it, but I agree with Kinky Sex too. If there was some dilution, how much of it was, put into the street and sold off? I kind of view the HBC deal as they were paid a flat fee. And I don't think they were paid on how much they moved into a market or sold or did anything. But what really gets me is the date of transactions don't even match the contract date that they weren't even allowed to exercise until a certain date. So somebody else must have exercised some of them. Don't know.
The more I sit here and think about it too, I mean, technically Ryan Cohen still did have a standstill with the company up through this time. So, I mean, what Whoopass is kind of bringing to the table here does make sense. I mean, let's take for account that HBC was in fact a proxy on behalf of somebody. And we in fact were not diluted. I mean, the biggest question is, obviously how many shares this individual essentially held. So for me to get this right, does that mean that, let's say RC had a standstill, in place, he could have taken up to 20%, and then HBC could have gone up to 9.9. Am I understanding that correctly, for a total of 30% or no?
No, it'd be 20 total.
20 total. That includes HBC.
Well, if they're an affiliate of his, yeah.
That's
what
right.
If they're just a proxy?
HBC for me was acting on behalf of Carl. So in a sense, RC could hold up to 20.
Okay.
And then HBC, who might be representing Carl, could hold up to 9.9. That could give you the 30. If it was RC behind HBC, then he's restricted to the 20 mark.
Right.
Because I believe Carl's actually behind HBC.
Because let me give the counter argument to that, is that RC tried to never go over his 10%. He stayed at 9.9, but the standstill said he could go to 19.9. So he made sure HBC, couldn't go above 9.9 as well, leaving him at 19.8 below that threshold. So that's why I think it was RC all along. He wanted to stay at 9.9%. That was his initial investment. HBC comes in at 9.9%. He's still below the 19.9% on his standstill agreement. So
it doesn't have to be him. It could be 7, like from the bond exchange, it could be 7 investors, all totaling 20%, and they don't have to report it because 7 divided by 20 is less than the 5%.
Correct. Yeah.
That's right.
Did you already read this on the screen here, Kinky, or do you want me to read it?
It wasn't to read it. It was just more or less, that's the screenshot of their agreement from the filing. And it says in there that anything over 9.9% will be considered null and void and canceled from the very beginning of the transaction that puts them over. So any shares that would have gone over would cease to exist.
Yeah.
Okay, so what Peng, I sent you a link backstage of the Tufel post. Let me read it for some of the people out there who didn't read any of this stuff or some people just come to the show. They want it read to them. So for some of you people out there who hate fucking reading, people will do it for you right now, man. All right, let's pull that up real quick just to get some better context. And then why don't we kind of break through it a little bit? Let me just read back some of these tips here. We got short hedge fund butt rammer with the 690. Funny story today. Me and Kenny were sitting there fucking around at 28. Margin called us both. We YOLO same time. Laugh out loud. Kenny didn't make it, bro. We also got Afterburner out there with the 1 PP Show gifted membership. Appreciate your support, Afterburner. We also got Chris with the 5. Just saying hi to Kelly from Chris. I turned her into a PP. Right on. Love to hear it, man. I appreciate the love. We also got short hedge fund butt rammer out there with the 5 PP Show gifted membership. Appreciate your support, butt rammer. Again, if you're one of those lucky individuals that got a gifted membership tonight, be sure to give thanks in the chat, fellas, and enjoy those special member emojis. We got Pumper on reddit.com with the 5. Where's Plur? I mean Jake. We also got Salty with the 2, gym membership fund, and we also got Blair with the 50. Travis, I know how you remember numbers. You are the accountant / sexy stripper, and even strippers got to count the dollar. Holla. All right on. All right, let's hear. Let me read this for everybody tonight. Ping, can we get a little zoomed in more? Peepee's a little blind here, man. He's still waiting for his new prescription of glasses, man. So yeah, excellent. All right, let's read this real quick. It's 4 pages. It's very quick. And again, if you guys want to stop me at any point in time, please feel free. All right, so this is obviously in the response to the lawsuit that was brought to HBC. As you saw, a lot of stuff mentioned in the previous lawsuit that we covered here at the show. A lot of stuff was redacted, has gone under seal, things like that. So you really can't really get the full story of what they're trying to say here. But I do specifically remember in that docket, whether it was the plan man or Hunter, whatever his name is, I think it's Hunter. He stated the same thing, that Hudson Bay was taking the shares in and dumping them on the market and things like that. So he covered all of these bases within that lawsuit. This is their rebuttal to that. It says here, Dear Judge Viscosil, it says here, defendants HBC Investments LLC and Hudson Bay Capital Management LP, together Hudson Bay, submit this letter pursuant to your honor's individual rule 4A1 to request a pre-motion conference for leave to move to dismiss the complaint, ECF docket number 1. Plaintiff's counsels inform us that plaintiff anticipates that it will oppose the motion to dismiss, but consents to Hudson Bay proposed briefing schedule. It says here, plaintiff purports to assert claims under Section 16B of the Securities Exchange Act of 1934. Section 16B essentially is the short swing rule for greater than 10% beneficial owners. Let's go ahead and scroll down. All right, it says here, the complaint alleges that Hudson Bay was a statutory insider that engaged in short swing trading of securities issued by Bed Bath & Beyond. Specifically, the complaint alleges that Hudson Bay was a statutory insider by virtue of beneficially owning more than 10% of Bed Bath & Beyond's common stock. To be clear, Hudson Bay never beneficially owned or attempted to own more than 10% of the common stock. Indeed, pursuant to the clear contractual terms governing Hudson Bay's Bed Bath investment, Hudson Bay could not beneficially own more than 10% of the Bed Bath's common stock. Specifically, Hudson Bay's investment in Bed Bath & Beyond was at all times subject to beneficial ownership limitation provisions, also known as blockers. The blocker provisions prohibited Hudson Bay from acquiring and Bed Bath & Beyond from providing to Hudson Bay shares to extent that such acquisition would result in Hudson Bay beneficially owning more than 9.99% of Bed Bath's outstanding shares after the acquisition. We also got Kevin Malone in here. We'll just throw him in here. What's up, Kevin? Good to see you, man. Let's go ahead and keep scrolling down.
Hey guys, yeah, I'll be right back. I didn't expect it to.
All right, no worries. I'll throw you backstage.
It hasn't
for a
let
bit.
me join in like 2 weeks, so I didn't expect it to actually finally work.
Well, good to see you. All right, sounds good. We'll put you backstage. Just use the chat there. All right. It says here, parties relevant to agreements prohibited Hudson Bay from beneficially owning more than 10% of the Bed Bath's common stock. Section 16B does not apply. The complaint should therefore be dismissed. It says here, on February 7, 2023, Hudson Bay was one of the participants in an underwritten Bed Bath public offering. In that offering, Hudson Bay acquired 1, a warrant to purchase shares of Bed Bath & Beyond common stock. 2, a warrant to purchase shares of Bed Bath Series A convertible stock. And 3, Bed Bath Series A convertible preferred stock. Bed Bath's public offering provided the tremendous pressure from its creditors. Bed Bath's public offering provided the company with equity financing that it needed to stay afloat at the time, and Bed Bath was under tremendous pressure from its creditors and was attempting to avoid bankruptcy. These same creditors are, ironically, the ones trying to bring these claims now. It says here specifically, convertible preferred stock and warrants represent sources of funding to a company either immediately upon the cash purchase of convertible preferred stock or upon exercise of a warrant to purchase common stock or convertible preferred stock when the issuer receives the exercise price for each share from the investor. It says here on March 30th, 2023, Bed Bath & Beyond and Hudson Bay entered an exchange agreement which canceled the remaining original warrant to purchase preferred stock in exchange for common stock and a contingent right to acquire additional shares. That contingent right to acquire shares never came to pass. On April 23rd, 2023, the company filed for bankruptcy. It says here, the bankruptcy wind-down entity of Bed Bath & Beyond, a plan admin and oversight committee of former Bed Bath creditors control plaintiff, they purportedly seek to recover assets for distribution to Bed Bath's creditors. In connection with that objective, plaintiff pursues these facially deficient claims, which attempt to stretch Section 16B well beyond its narrowly defined parameters in the hope of generating a payout to the lender that control plaintiff and perhaps other creditors. So basically it says here, blockers prevented Hudson Bay from beneficially owning more than 10%. Quite simply, Hudson Bay was never statutory insider and Section 16B does not apply. The common stock warrant, convertible preferred stock, and exchange agreement were all subject to blockers setting 9.99% beneficially ownership limitations. Such blocker provisions prevent holders from beneficially owning shares above the limitation because they prohibit exercise or conversion above that limit. It says here, a blocker provision prevents a holder of derivative securities from being the beneficial owner for purposes of the 10% owner calculation. Let's go ahead and keep scrolling down here.
Keep going. Keep scrolling.
No.
I think he has to go to the next page.
I think you need to go to the next page.
It's a different image, I think. So, okay, there we go.
It says here, although plaintiff concedes that blockers generally preclude liability, it claims that the blockers governing Hudson Bay Bed Bath securities were ineffective. To the contrary, the blockers were not merely effective, but unambiguous and robust. Hudson Bay never acquired Bed Bath shares in the open market.
Wait, so what would that mean that it has liability, right? Like if they already owed shares, is that what the liability they were talking about? Like it's like when they got the warrants, they had already owed shares.
The company did.
Well, the estate, the company had to issue them to HBC, right?
Yes.
In doing so, if there's blockers in place, they couldn't have gone over the 9.9 unless the board mistakenly gave them. But it also says that there's a contingency that anything over 9.9 becomes null and void anyways.
That's
so
what I don't...
be over 9.9 at any time.
Correct. Yeah.
I agree. There's a contractual obligation there that says, that they have to have the shares on hand in case, HBC doesn't go over the 9.9%, and then they exercise a warrant that then they have to issue those shares to them. But at no point in time can HBC go over the 9.9%, and they're saying that they never did. So there's two possible outcomes here. They had shares, and they sold some into the open market, and they could have exercised some warrants and been issued more shares by the company. Or hypothetically, option 2 would be that they never sold any shares, and therefore they couldn't exercise a lot of these warrants or a lot of these preferred shares and never went above the 9.9%. Option A is kind of shooting yourself into in the foot, where you have shares, you sell them into the open market, therefore decreasing their price of the stock, exercise some warrants, get some more, sell those into the market, effectively decreasing the price. And you're just shooting yourself in the foot here when you should be holding your shares, waiting for the price to hopefully go up. Option B is more realistic and profitable, and if you're HBC, that's the route that I would take. But I'm speaking in a biased opinion here, based off of what I would do.
So if it says that basically the plaintiff concedes that blockers generally preclude liabilities, saying like you couldn't have a short position of more than 10% or 20% or whatever already, because that would count against you. But B. Riley was the one who underwrote it, and then they wrote in some special things. And so it's like, well, this contract doesn't actually preclude that. Like, you're allowed to already have a short position conveniently is a possibility of what I'm seeing here.
I disagree.
Can I jump in here?
Go ahead. Anastera and then ABC.
So, okay, my brain is like as smooth as like obsidian when it comes to this kind of thing. But you know how Pulte was talking about, like, he was like Greenberg, Goldberg, whatever sort of thing, sort of hinting at like Greenberg case. Did you guys ever actually read that thing? Like actually go through it and read some of the opinions of some lawyers on the ruling of this? Because I think it's incredibly relevant to the conversation we're having right now.
Enlighten us if you've read some. By all means, I have not.
Yeah, so I've got it up here. I don't know if PP wants to read it or if you want me. I don't. But
read it for us. Let's hear it.
Okay, so this is a section 16B decision provides important guidance. This is about a court decision on Greenberg versus Hudson Bay Master Fund license involving a couple of companies, WPCS Securities and Iroki, which I believe is a hedge fund. And this is the opinion on it. It's a recent opinion by the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York denying a motion to dismiss a short swing profit claims under the Section 16B of the Securities Exchange Act of 1934 against all members of an alleged greater than 10% group under Section 13D provided some important guidance for securities practitioners. The plaintiff alleged that the defendants, shareholders of WPCS International Inc., had formed a Section 13D group, and that's in quotes, that collectively owned more than 10% of the WPCS common stock, and then realized short swing profits within a 6-month period in violation of Section 16B. The plaintiff inferred the formation of the group through, 1, the defendant's participation in a private financing transaction involving WPCS, and 2, their subsequent sale of a jointly owned business to WPCS. In denying the defendant's motion to dismiss, the district court said that the group could be found to have been formed by the shareholders in connection with their sale of a jointly owned business to WPCS. However, the district court also ruled that the defendant's participation in the same private financing was not, in of itself, an adequate basis to find the existence of a group. The district court noted that the use of a single agreement to cover all purchasers in a private placement is not unusual, and the courts have routinely rejected the argument that transaction documents granting investors parallel rights and obligations create an inference that a group was formed. The district court emphasized the specific provisions included in the transaction documents, asserting that the rights of the parties were separate and that the use of a single document was for the convenience of the issuer and should not create a presumption that the buyers were acting in concert. The defendants, which, reminder, is HBC in this court case, had argued that even if they were deemed members of a group with one another, the existence in warrants and convertibles notes of, quote, 9.99% blocker provisions, i.e. the provisions that prohibits conversion exercise to the extent that the holder would beneficially own more than 9.99% of an issue's common stock, yada, yada, should prevent any presumptive group from collectively owning greater than 9.99 of the WPCS common stock. The district court rejected that argument, noting that while the blocker provision explicitly restricted conversion/exercise to the extent the ownership of the holder and its affiliates exceeded 9.99%. It did not include language requiring the holder to count shares held by its Section 13D group members in the 9.99% calculation. Finally, defendant Iroki Master Fund Limited argued that it could not be liable under Section 16B because its investment advisor, and not the Iroki Fund itself, is the sole beneficial owner of the shares held by the fund. Since registered investment advisors are generally exempt from Section 16B liability, Iroquois argued that there shouldn't be no liability in respect of trades made by the Iroquois Fund. The district court rejected this position as well, citing the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit decisions in Hupp versus WPCS, Intern Inc., and Analytical Surveys Inc. versus Tonga Partners LP, both of which cases rejected the argument that a limited partnership could avoid Section 16B liability by delegating all voting and investing power to registered investment advisors. And the summary here is that this case opinion provides several important insights. While participation in private placements with other investors does not in of itself create a Section 13D group, it is advisable to include language in the transactional documents expressly providing that the obligations of the parties are several and not joint, and that no action taken by a buyer pursuant to such agreements shall be deemed to create a group or create a presumption that the buyers are in any way acting in concert. It is essential for the blocker provisions to expressly apply the conversion cap with other parties that may be deemed to be a member of a Section 13T group with the applicable holder, and hedge funds cannot evade the Section 16 obligations and liabilities by claiming that they have divested themselves of voting and disposition power over shares in favor of registered general partners or investment advisors. The funds themselves will be generally deemed beneficial owners of the shares they hold.
Okay. Go ahead, Travis. What do you think?
I love it because you just presented one of the probably best legal arguments to this entire idea. Let's say HBC wasn't acting as a proxy for one party. Let's say they were acting as a proxy for multiple. And let's say each of those parties never went over the 9.9 threshold, but may or may not have been working in cohorts. Possible, probable, maybe. But you present a great argument here. You know, what is the legality of this? And I don't know this case, and I definitely want to do some more research on it. But let's say, you know, myself, ABC, Michael, PP, we kind of did something like this where we got somebody like HBC to go, hey, get in there, get these warrants, get these preferred shares, have the opportunity to go up to 9.9%. 4 of us go in together, or 7 of us go in together, you know, five, however many, 5 guys go in together, and we all get 9.9% of this company. Are we working it in cohorts? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, you present a very good legal argument here on what is possible with what is going on. And so did HBC ever violate 16B? Maybe not. Maybe I had 9.8. Maybe PP had 7.6. Maybe you know, ABC had 7.41%. You know, there's all these possibilities there that they could convert these warrants and preferred shares and give it to another party. That's not me. I don't have more than.
And then they locked people in too, above 5% towards the end as well. So there's that.
So
too.
We can't trade after bankruptcy. And so I love this. This is a great example of possibilities of what we could be looking at that we may have not entertained these ideas.
Well, so real quick, let's get right back to it in just a moment. Unless ABC, you want to say something real quick. Kevin Malone in the chat is saying he only has 10 minutes here available tonight. Maybe we can come straight right back to it if we can, if that's okay, unless anybody else.
Can I just say something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead, and then we'll let Kevin Malone.
I'm pretty sure that the original 424B5 said that any affiliate of HBC is combined 9.9% with HBC. Like, it can't be divided up 9.9 to each person. Like, it's collectively.
But what about Ryan Cohen's standstill, where he could technically acquire up to 20% though around the same time? That's what I don't really understand.
So anything that's under 19.9%, he gets a provision or a waiver from the company to own that much.
I got you.
But that still is combined total among all affiliates.
Okay.
So I don't think that's the case here. I don't think that they sent out like 9.9 to this guy, 9.9 to that guy.
Right.
I don't think it's possible.
Let's get back to it in just one moment. We got limited time with Kevin. Kevin Malone, how the fuck are we doing tonight, my man?
Oh, phenomenal. You guys see that day today?
Yeah. Hey, I got to ask you something, man. What the fuck? Fucking last time we talked, you said whoever's acquiring those 20 calls is a fucking idiot or something. It turns out to be
100%.
TFE, man.
Insane.
What the fuck? He has $300 million. Kevin Malone invested in GameStop. What the fuck's going on here, man?
I know. And we used to buy the same exact calls together. And trust me, Monday morning, I had, I don't know, 3,000 messages and comments saying how dumb I was. And I could only get through 100 posts back, letting everyone know that the $30 calls are up twice as much that day.
That's fucking crazy, man.
Than the 20s were on a percentage basis. And I was like, that's why. And then someone came on my space Monday night, extremely late, and he said, what if Keith is just trying to make a statement by exercising?
Kevin, that was me.
And I, oh, really? Yeah. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense, because it's still not a smart investment as far as the 30s or the 40s that he could have.
Well, what if the stock
quadrupled?
What if his goal is to, if the stock is at $90, $100, or even $150, that at that point in time he wants these shares, he wants 17 million shares. So it's not a bad move to have these 20s to exercise at a later time. I mean, if we're talking $50, $60, $70 over the strike price, and the goal is to exercise them, I feel like it's for whatever reason, I don't know, he's going to maybe force market makers to go to the market and start buying up, and then we're actually going to see an actual squeeze here.
100%. But if he would have bought the 30s, just going back, he could have bought 240,000 contracts.
Yeah, but there wouldn't be the liquidity to be able to sell them. He'd have to exercise them, and that would cost a lot more.
If it was at 70, 80, 90, like PP just said, though, I'm pretty sure the market would just light on fire. If he had 240,000 and he was already triple in the money at the price being 60, 70, 80.
Right.
His exercise would have been like $31. Even if it was at $61, they would have been all free exercises.
Yeah, something obviously is going on here when fucking Berkshire Hathaway goes down 99% in a fucking day for nearly 2 hours, man. And they call that a fucking glitch. I don't know. Something's fucked up here. Again, and if like traders like us were around to be able to buy this, I mean, this is bullshit. You know, if the stock goes to $185 because of your bullshit glitch for an hour, well, me as a fucking investor, I should have been able to buy fucking 100 fucking shares of Berkshire and let it go back up to 700 fucking thousand a share. So again, you have to ask what the fuck's going on here. There were some changes as well, I think, over at the DTCC as well, over unscheduled closing of exchanges and markets for clearing agencies, things like that. I mean, what are your thoughts? And I know some of the fellows here had a couple questions for you tonight as well. What are your thoughts, man, on kind of this change recently with the DTCC, the clearinghouses, things like that? Do you think it's correlated at all? I mean, it was June 4th, really yesterday, when Berkshire went down too. So, I mean, what do you think about all of this being correlated to GameStop here?
Well, the glitch was extremely weird, but the S&P 500 and Dow that both glitched last Tuesday, the holiday week, where Tuesday was the first day of the market after GameStop announced Friday after market close that they had completed the offering. Stock explodes when the market starts, and then that day, two indexes halt. Not halt. All data is gone. That's like way bigger than a Berkshire glitch. But the same thing happened on high volume Monday, and last one was Tuesday, but it's the first day of the week.
Yeah.
Like, these keep happening right now, and they're really, really big glitches.
Around the time of these swaps being due too, right? Billions of dollars in swaps.
Yeah. It's almost like GameStop is the market.
Yeah. I gotta say it. I know I pinged you on Monday, and I get, you read my quote, PP, but for Kevin, glitch better have my money.
Agreed.
It was amazing. Yeah. Oh, I heard it. I was like, yeah, that's incredible.
Did any of the rest of the fellas? I think Wally wanted to ask.
Kevin, quick
go ahead,
question
Wally.
for you. This should be a quick one. Does being assigned shares after selling a put that goes in the money have the same sort of mechanics for delivery of shares as exercising a bought call?
Say the same thing, but like half speed.
Does
exercising puts?
Sell a put,
yeah.
Well, if you're selling a put, the person that bought the put, they have the exercise rights, right?
Yes.
So if someone exercised the put, I sold it, and I get assigned shares, does that have the same effect on market makers in terms of having to deliver those shares from the exercised put from the buyer to the seller?
No, because you sold it to him. You sold it to the person that bought it. If the market maker bought it, yes. If a retail person bought it, it'd be different.
So if a retail investor sells a put and ends up getting assigned shares, that doesn't have the same supply demand mechanics as a retailer exercising a bought call.
No, correct. What you just said was absolutely correct. But you said market makers in the first example coming in, but retail selling to retail the put and getting assigned the shares and everything like that. They're just getting assigned the shares. Someone's shares were pushed out of their account into someone else's. It's not going to be buy pressure on there. They just, someone got to sell those for that price. You got to assign those shares. And it's not like a buy has to take place for that in the market. You just get their shares. They're hoping for way less than the price.
Thanks, Kevin. That makes sense. Appreciate it.
Real quick, we got a tip here from Blair Barkley with the 50. Appreciate the love, Blair. I adore how reserved Kevin Malone is. Laugh out loud, but not really. Who's watching the fort when getting wedding ring? Do you have people, Kevin? From Blair. All right, no response from Kevin there. Fellas, do you have any other
German
questions?
shepherds were just about to blow out everyone's eardrums when someone was walking by.
No worries, man.
What about the wedding ring? Do I have people that are what?
I guess, do you have people? I don't know. Do you have people?
Yeah, I said, do you have people? Yeah.
Like people that sell wedding
I definitely
rings.
have people.
All right, right on. That's good to know. He replied, okay, good. All right, so, fellas, do you have any other questions for Kevin here? I have one other question, but I want to let you guys go first. Go ahead, fellas.
I mean, just real quick, I think that also for the $30 strike prices, there's a chance that the market could push those out of the money before he could exercise.
Exactly.
And I don't know that you're allowed to exercise out of the money.
You can. There's nothing that prevents you from doing it at all. It's just If you want to just lose money, go ahead.
But it also showed that he wasn't trying to do just gains, just purely on profit. It's like, no, I want to buy these shares.
That's what changed. That's what changed my theory was on the I'm making a statement, and the same statement when they're going to come after him, like they have the last 2 days on market manipulation and pump and dumps, and he's like, "Oh shit, look, I haven't sold anything yet." All right, well, suck it, because there's been no dump for 4 years. We're gonna be like, oh man, he just coordinated a 4-year, 5-year from 19 pump and dump, and then never sold. Like literally, if any court else that gets this is just gonna absolutely throw it out. Like this might be the dumbest case of all time. And I'd like to add on to that the SEC investigating and Massachusetts investigating. None of those reports said they're investigating Keith. They're investigating. They have to, right? Like they want the public to know that they're looking into this, which is, due diligence of regulators to see what's going on. And that's all they're saying by those. And then mainstream media just took it fucking 800 miles away to say what was happening, and it had nothing to do with that. Like they're like, we're going to look into this, or we're investigating, and they made scary words. They could literally be investigating the other side of that trade the whole time.
What do you think that they're essentially cooking up over at GameStop? Do you think that we're going to hear anything at the annual shareholder meeting or anything like that? I mean, what type of news do you expect? I mean, the company is sitting on $2 billion cash. For a long time, what we discussed, and again, you maybe your thesis changed in the last few months, but last time we would discuss on the show is that you speculated that maybe they would allocate some of that money for an acquisition or merger. Do you still think that they're planning to do that? And if you do you think we're going to get news of that? Because it just seems like something is lining up here for an explosive move, if you ask me, Kevin.
Well, I'm going to give my honest opinion.
Sure. Yeah, let's hear it.
And so far it's been wrong all of May, right? So hold on.
What's been wrong?
All of my opinions.
Oh, okay. All right, let's hear it. Even the guy buying the 20s.
Wait, opinions can be wrong.
Hold on.
All right, go ahead.
I need everyone here to start picking up the things that I put down. So I would not report a merger acquisition with all eyes on GameStop right now, because then the amount of investigations that would come out with who knew what was going on. Oh, retail bought $2 billion in May because you guys are merging with X and Y and Z company. Like, they wouldn't want that heat. I would predict that even if there was a merger like set to be announced, and then all of May happened and today and everything, that Ryan and the board would contact whoever the merger or the acquisition would be and be like, hey, there's no effing way we can announce this right now. Like, because of what just happened, we'll give you another 5 or 10% at the end of July, a couple months later, to do the same as that contract we already signed in April for the announcement, so that we don't have to have all this heat.
100%.
Does that make sense? Like,
agreed.
Right?
Yeah. ABC, go ahead.
That'd be the smart thing to do. So they'll probably buy Apple on their earnings report.
All right, let's hear it, ABC.
I haven't got anything right.
I actually agree with Kevin this time. I think all the
this town, ABC.
Go get fucking married. Listen, man, you're absolutely right. I believe all the focus is on GME right now, DFV, and to announce like that would open up a can of worms. But I think the attention with DFV and everything in GameStop is done on purpose. Meanwhile, somebody comes in the back door and makes some announcements, which will then eventually lead to GameStop. And as you guys have always known, my theory has to do with another particular person. I think Kevin's absolutely right. You would not want to have GME make an announcement at this point in time. Otherwise, it would be a shit show.
I don't know. I mean, technically, they can't really prove anything, though, right? I mean, they can't really prove that anything was orchestrated here at all. I mean, people are obviously piling into options, things like that, because of DFE's return. Again, people are able to spend their money however they want, and if the return of DFE causes some people out there, to make their own financial decisions, that's on them, right? But I don't know. I feel like even if the company, for instance, utilize some of this investment policy to do some kind of an acquisition or something like that, I don't really see how you can tie GameStop to have been working with DFE. Like, it's all just hearsay, right? Even if they were, it's fucking hearsay.
You're correct. PB, they wouldn't be able to prove it, but it would just bring a shitstorm of investigation. Like, think of like Wolf of Wall Street, people coming in to look at every file, just getting in the way of all the plans you have growing your company for the next 3 months are going to get blown up.
What if the deal's already done behind the scenes, the paperwork's already wrapped up, all they need to do is boom, announcement, and whatever the fuck happens.
Well, I mean, you're asking in a way to prove a negative, which is, let's say that they don't have relations. GameStop,
sure.
Ryan Cohen, they've never even talked to DFE.
Yeah.
Never reached out to them, nothing.
Yep.
The SEC, DOJ, they're going to come in and be like, you need to give us all of your records to prove that you haven't. And GameStop's going to be sitting there going, well, how do I prove a negative? How do I prove that I have never done something, or I haven't ever done this? and they're going to just look at everything.
Exactly. Yeah,
Like,
they're not going to
just jump
have.
in on this. That's just not the way.
Go ahead.
That's not the way the investigation would go. What they would ask DFV, well, they go to the company and say, "Show us your records of communication with this person."
Mm-hmm.
GameStop says they don't exist. End of investigation. They go to DFV and they would ask for the research for what led him to make the trades that he made. I see people shaking their heads. Where did I miss on that?
If that's Travis,
we're not talking about we're not talking about talking with DFV. We're talking about if there was an announcement of an acquisition, how did news get out for retail to buy 2 billion shares in May? No, like coordination with DFV. How did you guys signed with? I'm just going to put out Apple there because it's obviously not true. Signed with Apple and stuff, and then you guys announce it on your earnings report. It's not going to have the investigation. Is not going to be with DFV and communications. It's going to be with, well, how did retail know to buy 2 billion shares during May that this was coming and the stock price rose 700%? And they don't have to have any proof to investigate and just ruin your headquarters for months. Is why I was saying that if there was a plan in place, then they would most likely redo the contract with more money. Like, we don't want to deal with this. We will pay you another $50 million in a couple of months so that we can keep having our company, and that hopefully the stock price will be normal at that time.
Yeah, I mean, either way, this stock can most certainly run with or without an acquisition type of news from GameStop, right? I mean, that's kind of where we're heading right now. Gamma ramps, exercising these calls, things like that. But I don't know, man. There's something here that we're missing. That's just kind of, it's just missing stuff. Go ahead, Travis, and then I don't know if ABC wanted to say anything.
I just want to say, like, it's an old school auditor. I've done my audit time. I did my public accounting stuff. That an auditor comes in and be like, you have to prove your financials. In the same way, securities fraud is going to come in and be like, you have to prove that communication didn't happen. So you're going to be like, oh, show us you didn't have communication. Be like, well, we didn't, so we can't prove it. Oh, case dismissed. No. Okay, we want access to your server and all your emails to ensure that we can audit this and prove for a fact that y'all didn't have communication.
They wouldn't even be able to see it if it's on Tor, so I mean, either way.
It opens up a lot of investigations, and those investigations can sometimes take a lot of time. Now, would it cost GameStop anything? No. Would it delay?
Yes, it would cost GameStop a lot, Trav, because think about it. When an actor or an actress gets accused of a crime, or 90% of the population goes guilty, and they haven't even had the case yet. Same thing with the SEC saying, hey, we're investigating GameStop. A majority of the population out there are going to go guilty, even though they haven't been convicted as such. So it's a very bad publicity move. You want to kind of stay out of those shadows at all expenses.
That's why they said they're investigating the GameStop saga, not the company. That's why the SEC said that, and Congress. Yeah, because you're like, well, they didn't do anything.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Yeah.
What if instead all of this investigation stuff, what if it was ended up pointing at a company that doesn't exist anymore? How would that change things?
Elaborate.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Enhance.
So, as clearly stated by the stuff going on in Bed Bath & Beyond right now, there's nothing left of the company, right? Like, it's pretty much just gone. It's just winding down the stuff. But then what happens if the ticker that's been preserved, what if that explodes instead of GameStop? How does that change all of this?
It doesn't change the investigation in GameStop and DFV at all.
You don't think so?
No, I think you'll have clientele from like the SEC and DOJ that are strictly, hey, this is your assignment. Go do this, and we'll put other people in this Bed Bath & Beyond stuff. I don't think it changes it.
Okay.
And to correct you, there's still a lot left in the estate, man.
Is there?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The Knowles. We love the Knowles.
Well, but according to Michael Gold, I know that this isn't actually a case, right? But according to Michael Goldberg, there is, and that's something about that keeps like coming up in my head. Like, there's something. I feel like there's something significant about that.
But
and I don't know.
All right, let's go with ABC's theory that there's two plans. You have Michael Goldberg in the liquidating trust, and he's the plan admin for the liquidating trust. That's one. There's nothing left. I got nothing.
Right.
And then you have the reorganization plan. That has everything in it. That has everything in it. So Goldberg only sees point one because that's what he was given. Point two would be the reorganization, which I believe that there's two plans. We've seen it in dockets. They've called them differently, and the details matter. RC said it best himself. Details matter.
It literally said in the court documents that every entity of the estate has their own reorganization plan and their own liquidation plan. And how many entities are there? 74. So now some of them are inactive and some are active. 9 of the 38 entities are under DK Butterfly are filing post-confirmation reports. There is a lot of substance. There's a lot of assets in those 9 that are actually doing the post-confirmation reports. That to me is where the credit or the stalking horse bid will be acquiring those 9 estates or those 9 entities for a shitload of money.
I mostly agree with a lot of this. Is that there's a lot of entities, there's a lot of different plans.
You sound muffled.
Me?
Yeah.
Sorry, I have noise in the background because my significant other has a friend over, so it's probably muffling just to try to drown that out. So
No worries.
apologize. But no, I agree. I think that each entity has a different liquidating or reorganization plan, one or the other, and there's only certain entities that have the reorganization plan and only certain ones that have the liquidation plan. And I think we're all going to see this play out. I mean, we've been in this way too long and dug through way too many details to be wrong at this point. I don't care how confidential they kept it. The details matter, and we've dug through the details. And I still firmly believe in the best beyond play. Oh, go ahead, Michael. I'm sorry.
Like even Nantucket has a completely different judge, right? And we haven't even heard anything about that. Michael Goldberg, I guarantee, knows nothing about it.
Yeah.
So there's lots of ways that money could come back into the estate that's not directly through Michael Goldberg and the judge that he's working with.
I'm seeing the chat say a lot of July 14th, and I'm loving that right now.
Why?
714? Why not?
Oh, for 714? No, I think we're a lot closer than as we are farther. I don't know. For some reason, I have a feeling like, something has to happen around 6-9, right? I mean, this was so significant with Pulte and RC 69ing each other, on X and shit. I don't know.
You didn't hear about 6-9?
Who, like the rapper?
No, the date.
No, let's hear it.
Well, I had to pick which day of the year I'm going to get married.
Oh, yeah, it is on 6-9, right? Yeah, I remember you mentioning that. Right on. Well, there's some even better good news. Yeah. It's even better.
Can you imagine what Monday's going to be after that?
Yeah, it's going to be fucking wild, man. All right, so I guess Kevin, is there any other last questions you guys have for Kevin? Because he said he only has 1 minute left here. Let's hear it if you do. If not, we'll let Kevin give some closing thoughts.
I just want to give closing thoughts to Kevin and issue you my condolences. I mean that in jest, man. I wish you and your significant other all the best and congratulations.
Right on.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
Congrats, man.
Let's get some love for Kevin
Thanks,
Malone.
guys.
Or Kevin Malone, any closing thoughts on your way out, man? What you'd like the good people at home to know? I mean, it says we have over 8,500 listeners tonight. Let's hear it if so, man.
Damn, that's a stack. I would just say that, I had an extremely busy day getting ready to head out of the country tomorrow for the wedding, but I'll let everyone else look up my post on Superstonk after I said I wouldn't do it again. Post there was the top one with 12,000 today, and the next one was 6,000. Mod removed it, said I was wrong in my entire post on the DFV. On the DFV calls, they got 1.3 million views today.
Wow.
And said I was completely wrong. And this dude comes up in Super Song and just blasts him with like 30 paragraphs of how dumb he is as a mod, and that Kevin was right. And I was like, oh my God. I mean, I didn't know that happened until like I got off the phone and got done with everything I was doing today.
Yeah. Right.
And I was like, how does a post get removed with like 13,000 views? And then I went to the mod post, and the next guy was just like, this guy is literally the most wrong ever, and just absolutely obliterated him. And I was like, oh, I love that. I love that about the community. I love that, you know, a mod with 1 million followers, I mean, including all the bots and stuff, comes in and says I'm wrong, and then someone comes up and goes like, no, you're literally retarded. That is the fact. Just like my 2020 post, I think one of my oldest posts ever in Reddit was on Wall Street Bets saying that exercise calls, God, this is actually completely relevant. Someone has to go find the shares, and like 3 people below that on Wall Street Bets told me how dumb I was, and the stock was up like 6,000% about 3 weeks later. And I was
beautifully said, man.
All right. I love you all. I'm gonna be out of here for about 2 weeks.
All right, well, enjoy it, man. You deserve it. Go enjoy with your wife, Kevin Malone, in chat. Let's get some love for Kevin on his way out, man. And Kevin, appreciate you coming on and sharing a little bit of information and some of your opinion tonight, man. So enjoy the rest of the night. Appreciate having you on, Kevin.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Take care, man. See ya.
See you guys.
All right, you heard it from Kevin Malone tonight. All right, why don't we pull this back up here? My apologies. Kevin didn't have a lot of time here. So back to some of the Hudson Bay stuff, right? In terms of potentially, allocating these shares around things like that. Kinky Sex, if you want to add anything, or ABC, if you want to add anything from here. Basically, where we're at is that I don't know if you guys want me to continue reading this, but this is one of the best parts here. It does say the blockers were straightforward and unequivocal. Simply put, even if Hudson Bay had attempted to convert or exercise, that would result in Hudson Bay beneficially owning more than 9.99% of Bed Bath stock. Such attempts would be deemed null and void and treated as if they were never made. It says here, any blocked shares shall be held in abeyance until such time as delivery of shares issued in excess of the beneficial ownership limitation would have likewise been deemed null and void. So what are your guys' thoughts on in terms of potentially, the Hudson Bay stuff? Let's hear it, Kinky, if you want to take it away for us.
Oh, I have something else to say about this stuff. The Series A convertible preferred stock has no voting rights attached to it.
Yes.
So they can be sold, and they don't violate 16B if they're sold.
Because they where would they go if they were sold, though, is my biggest question. Because
here's the kicker to that.
Yeah.
Any Series A that are sold by HBC has to go on a register with BBBY, so they're tracked. It says right in the thing. So BBBY would know every transaction that happened with a Series A preferred.
Yep.
And if I could add to that, Kinky Sex, you cannot sell preferred shares into the street. And so if the transaction was done from preferred share to this third party, then there's no breaking of the 16B first and foremost. There's no going over the 9.9. There was no voting rights. And we know that Bed Bath & Beyond had separated. If you go and look at their history of their shares, they literally moved from treasury, from non-voting to issued. It was a circus what they did. And that's why I believe it's all smoke and mirrors. But you're dead on that one. Right there, it's kind of the whole thing. If you own preferred shares and you sell them to a third party, that is not selling to the street.
They're not subject to 16B because they're non-voting securities. And also in the 424B5, it says that any preferred shares that are exercised into common stock, they will be delivered in book entry form.
Yeah.
Whoa, I missed that.
That's line 278 in the complaint.
Well, I can show you it. I have a link.
Yeah, Kinky, why don't you share it with us? Let's see it.
I think it's 278.
Just click on his first picture there. No, scroll down. Right there. Click on the picture.
Can you right click and open a new tab and then zoom in and scroll up? Yeah, there
You just
we
have
go.
to read the highlight.
Book entry form.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it says here, delivery of the Series A preferred stock and common stock warrants will be only in book entry form and will be made through the Depository Trust Company on or about February 7th. All right, expand upon this a little bit more.
Ooh.
Whoever owns this
whoever
whoever.
It's
in their name.
Yeah, it's book entry. It's like DRSing.
Yeah.
That's right. And if it's in a master fund type of agreement, 13D, 13E, and 13F would mean that you don't even have to report as such because it's kind of like an investment grouping, just like B. Riley's ATM offering with the $1 billion. He put it under the 13F non-disclosure so that he wouldn't even have to report each individual investor's buying of the shares. That's what an investment in a master fund does, is protects you from, one, showing who owns it, and two, even if you get over certain percentages, you don't even have to report it because it's kind of considered an investment fund. And these were obviously book instead of plan, so they were put right into somebody's name. And we know that HBC was acting on behalf of a third party, and there were blocker positions in place. HBC is totally innocent, in my opinion.
So I want to go back real quick to what Kinky Sex was saying, was that essentially if they increase the outstanding shares, there had to be an SEC filing, correct?
Over NASDAQ, over 5%. That's what Woodpass said.
Yes. So I'm just trying to understand here that, essentially, because I don't know if there's anything that blocks them, like if they go to the OTC market, do you guys know if they're delisted and they go to OTC, they don't have to report those types of things, right?
Have
they
to
weren't
report
delisted
what?
here though.
Like they wouldn't have, like, let's say like the TSO did increase.
No, they still have to report.
Okay, so I'm just trying to understand here, because I don't remember if there was like ever an official filing that we saw that stated it was 780 million shares. The only thing I remember is that the way that we found out there were so many shares, I believe was from Seed & Co. Was it not?
No, there were a couple. Ooh.
I can't remember seeing a fucking SEC filing.
8K filing in March.
February
It said like
22nd.
428 million.
February 22nd was the last time that they reported 789. But if you went and looked at it and read the fine print, some were voting shares, some were non-voting shares, some were being held in the treasury, and they actually kind of mixed in the non-issued shares too. So it was really kind of smoke and mirrors the way they did it. And I spent literally a day going through that. And so in my opinion, if HBC, which I believe hasn't done any breachment, they didn't go over the 9.9, I believe that there's 117 plus 120 million and another 10. So 247.4 is what I believe the TSO is at right now.
Okay.
And go ahead. Sorry.
Well, okay, no, go ahead. Yeah, you're good.
I was going to say, and the 4245Bs that were issued kind of outlined, each one of them outlined what's already issued, what's preferred, what are the warrants, and how many of those common shares are equivalent to those warrants and preferred. In each one of them that they, what's what I'm looking for, released, kind of stated all that. And there is a walkthrough, and I've done it, and maybe I should repost it, and I'll have to find my spreadsheet, but I've walked through this step by step to try to find, here is what was done. But I somewhat agree with ABC. I think there's only 428 voting shares. I think the TSO is 428, not the number that he stated, but we can agree to disagree. I mean, I only know what I know based off what I read, and maybe his is the same kind of pathway there, but I think we're looking at 428 million or less.
Oh, a lot less, yeah.
I give me a second. I'm gonna try to pull up your spreadsheet. I'm pretty sure I have it.
My man.
Wow, Peng's got all of it, man. He's got the bells and whistles and all that.
I try to learn off Travis.
To Kinky Sex's point, preferred shares don't have voting rights. They are not. There was all book in somebody's name, and the point is they never hit the street. So there was no dilution. And that's the key point, especially for retail investors, is that they never hit the street.
And so how do you trade 1 billion shares pre-bankruptcy with only 428 million TSO when retail
they traded it like 4x over
300 million of those?
Question, Travis, and that's why I believe this was not only a bear trap, but almost a RICO operation where they assumed based on the dilution, and that's where these synthetics were created. And obviously you hit close to 1 billion in one day, and that was all because of synthetics. And that's where I believe these guys created the narrative, let the media run with it, stage the HBC thing, put it in book, use third party and a 13F protection that the shorts literally assumed something and made an asset of themselves.
I agree with 99% of that except one part. It's not a bear trap, it is the bear trap.
Nice point. I mean, again, you know, like, sorry, go ahead, Wally.
I was going to say, I have a quick question for the panel. Is there any reason why you all could think that HBC here would not definitively state that they did not like the precise volume of warrants that they either did or did not exercise?
Well, they don't have to. It's sold through, like every time a sale is made with those, it's recorded on BBBY's registry, so they would know every transaction that was made with them. Which is why I don't understand any of this. Like,
they haven't announced it in their counterclaim or their disclosure is because the announcement's not ready to be made yet. In my opinion, you keep the smoke and mirrors going until it's time to announce, and then you show all your cards.
See, sorry, I was just going to add the biggest thing for me as well is that, like, when you analyze, especially like Shelley Lombard, who was placed on the board, to my knowledge, by RC, and you see her listed in some of these like documents where he had a standstill with the company the whole fucking time. He could have met with the board at any point in time. He had a standstill all the way up until March, but for some reason in December, when he offers $400 million to the company, Shelley Lombard is basically just saying, "Oh yeah, you know, he offered $400 million, and we assumed we would get a better offer." So it's like, I don't understand. I thought RC put Shelley Lombard on the fucking board, like, as one of his people. So I don't know. You know, the whole thing is just very confusing and very bizarre. Sorry to whoever wanted to add on to something. I think it was Kinky or whoever it was.
No, I was just going to say, I guess the precise volume of warrants that would have been exercised for shares would be on the company's record, but the reason we don't see it is it's very likely part of the mountain of redacted information.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm following. Thank you.
That's my thesis, is that they won't show all the cards yet until it's perfectly timed, when they obviously, you know, move in a direction and then can disclose everything, you know, as need be. Because this HBC case actually is now going to have some more discovery all the way up from July to September. And because it's under a different final decree, and because it's under the liquidation recovery with Mr. Goldberg and another court and another judge, I think that's why this is going to be treated separately, and you're still going to have a reemergence and a reorganization that will allow the business to continue on while this gets settled. And upon the announcement, that's when you'll get kind of the full disclosure of everything. I think it's a bear trap, or as Travis said, the bear trap.
The bear trap, yeah. All right, there was something else I wanted to pull up here. So there was actually a little bit of tinfoil, but before we get into tinfoil, why don't we cover Rule 90.19? There's a lot of people out there that are not really too sure what 90.19 is. Can we pull up this post if possible, Peng? And real quick, let me see which post that is. Yes. Right before you actually pull that one up, go to this one first. Let's actually read what Rule 9019 is. Yeah. All right. So for a lot of people had some questions like, what is Rule 9019? It's been like kind of in the bankruptcy court cases as of lately, things like that. Rule 9019 is compromise in arbitration. It says here, compromise on motion by the trustee and after notice and a hearing, the court may approve a compromise or settlement. Notice shall be given to creditors, the United States trustee, the debtor, and indenture trustees as provided in Rule 2002, and to any other entity as the court may direct. B, authority to compromise or settle controversies within classes. After hearing on such notice as the court may direct, the court may fix a class or classes of controversies and authorize the trustee to compromise or settle controversies with such class or classes without further hearing or notice. So this is basically saying that they can essentially alter or do certain things with some of the classes here. And to my knowledge, I believe that includes us as class 9. It says here, arbitration on stipulation of the parties to any controversy affecting the estate. The court may authorize the matter to be submitted to final and binding arbitration. Okay, and let's go back to that original post, and now let's get into what 9019 is. Did you have any opinion, ABC? I feel like I saw some responses to you about 9019 over Twitter. Do you want to share a couple of your thoughts here pertaining to the settlement of controversies within certain classes?
Well, I just know that there's kind of three outcomes or circumstances that the 9019 can be brought in. It could be a sale. It could be obviously discovery of fraud. And then it could be a debt for equity situation as well. And so now that we're seeing the 9019, that tells me that really there's no other issues ahead going forward. Everything's pretty much closed up. And using the leverage of this law here, we could literally see a debt for equity or an announcement of a sale. And we obviously know about the fraud that's being discovered and recovered right now through the clawbacks. And I still believe those two are separate entities. So there's kind of a balance of this law. But to me, it can be applied to a sale transaction and or a debt for equity. So I think we're on the cusp of something happening very soon.
Agreed, ABC, and well said. With in response to 9019. Again, how are they going to kind of treat this moving forward? The Chubb stuff is obviously taken care of at this point. They are moving on with that stuff. Again, that's the biggest question right now. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at this post from Bed Bath Q. Right before they do that, I'm just going to catch up on some of these tips here. My apologies if I am just now getting to these fellas. We got Thunder Squeeper out there with the 2. Why is Karl Malone's beater so hot? Emotional damage with a 5. Kevin is like the mentally challenged cousin. You just have to let him say this shit and we just move on like nothing happened. Oh my God. That's so fucked up, man. I like Kevin, dude. Thunder Squeeper with the 2. When did Malone turn into Fred Durst, the nookie? We got the cheese with the 2. PP has Malone opinion on Bed Bath changed. I don't know. We need to ask him. It's been a while. Salty Lizard with the 5 PP Show gift to memberships. Appreciate your support, Salty. Again, if you got a membership out there tonight, fellas, be sure to give a thanks in the chat. It's the least you can do. We got Jay with the 5 in multiple interviews and testimony responding to MMTLP questions. Gensler/SEC has said they do not name companies/targets during an investigation. Excellent point there, Jay. We also got Blair out there with the 50. What the fuck? So Kevin is leaving this country for 2 weeks, right in the heat of where we're at. Does he know something, or is he talking, or is he taking the money and running? Laugh out loud. Yeah, maybe so. We also got Stella out there with a PP membership. Appreciate your support, Stella, and enjoy those PP emojis. We got Watt DC with the 5. Book entry doesn't necessarily mean DRS here. I think it just means electronic registry here. That would require digging into AST terminology. That's a great fucking point. We also got Blair with the 100. Appreciate the love tonight, fellas. Where in the hell is Sloppy so missed? I don't know what's up with Sloppy. He said something about having a nosebleed or something earlier, so maybe he had to peace out for the night. I hope he's good, man. So I don't know where Sloppy's at tonight. Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead. All right, Travis, we'll get to that right after this post. All right, let's scroll up real quick. Let's read 9109. 919, my bad. All right, so this is from BBYQ. It says here, the approval under Rule 919 establishes the release as a binding and enforceable bar to any future claims or causes of action by the debtors of their estates against the release parties. This provides finality and certainty, allowing the release parties to participate in the restructuring without fear of ongoing litigation. A mechanism for resolving claims fairly and efficiently. This helps ensure that the restructuring process proceeds smoothly and that the bankruptcy estate is managed in a way that maximizes value for creditors and stakeholders involved. What's highlighted here, it says entry of the confirmation order shall constitute the bankruptcy's court's approval pursuant to the bankruptcy rule of 919. Highlighted here is C, in the best interest of the debtors in all of the claims and interests. All right, and let's go ahead and click on Sunny D's post there at the bottom. So this is from Sun Devil out there. It says Rule 919, Hertz approved it on 9/7/2021, and then they amended their plan, entered 3 days later. Bed Bath & Beyond 919 is approved today. And let's take a look. Which one does it show? I can't remember which one of these. I think that one is... the first one. I think that's... Hertz. Yeah, that's Hertz. Yeah. Okay, that one's Hertz. And then what's the... Oh, here it is from Hertz. So with Hertz, yeah, let me read that one real quick. So from Hertz, it said on June 10th, 2021, the court entered an order confirming the company's second modified third amended plan. The plan provides for the payment in cash in full to all creditors and for existing shareholders to receive more than $1 billion of value. That is what the Hertz shareholders ended up getting. Let's go to the next page. And right here, as you see it, minute of hearing held, the outcome granted related document 3289 motion to approve compromise under Rule 919 filed by Colin R. Robinson on behalf of plan admin. And then we also have filed by the other proof plan admin as well. What are our thoughts here tonight, fellas, on this document of 919?
Credit bid coming.
Okay, why do you say that?
Debt for equity exchange. That's just my guess. If you scroll down.
Well, I mean, because for the credit bid, they'd have to know how much they have to bid, right? And if there's these outstanding litigations, then they wouldn't be able to put an exact number. Now they could.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but what I kind of think is, again, I kind of go back to that old leverage buyout, the 5 guys resigning from the board, and then we saw a claim come in for the $1 billion, which was, in my thesis, a deposit, right? Because the stalking horse bidder actually has complete control over the auctions. They set the parameters, they set the initial bid, they set the conditions for the bidding, and the thing about the stalking horse bidder is if the auctions are canceled, the stalking horse bid actually automatically wins, and they're held to that figure that they put in the initial bid for. And so if you go and look at the claim, there's a 10% bid of $1 billion. Then we see 2 claims for $425 million each under the 586 rule, which is goods and inventory. And then we see the balance. So you have a total of 11.8 minus the 850 million, which is for goods and inventory. I come up with a numerical figure, and I think it won't be a debt for equity bid. I think it'll be the stalking horse bidder. And that's where we see a lot of references to the horses from DFV and such, that I really believe that the entire estate of Bed Bath & Beyond, with all the active entities that are in there, would be acquired for that amount, because the stalking horse bidder is held to that initial bid. And the funny thing is, if you do the math, it comes out to 11 billion and 5 million, which is almost what a bid would be. You don't bid $11 billion, you bid a little bit over. So that way it works in terms of circumventing anybody bidding higher than you. And in this situation, because all the liquidation and the recovery and the fraud is kind of under a final decree of its own, in a sense, you could literally have the stalking horse bidder who's made a claim and said, hey, I bought this fucking company and all its assets. You haven't given it to me yet, so the deal hasn't been consummated. And that's what the claim really represents, is you fucking owe me all these assets, and here's my claim. And the funny thing is, with a stalking horse bid too, you don't even have to put in the information as to why you're making the claim. It's the only exception. A stalking horse bid claim does not have to detail what the money is for. Yet if you go look at the bonds claims and everything from BNY Mellon, they all had to indicate what the claim was for. A stalking horse bid does not even have to declare why they're making that claim.
Well fucking said, ABC.
That's my thesis, has always been, but I could be wrong. Speculating, my man.
I like it. Sorry, I just realized my mic was up. I like it. I just found the TSO stuff, my old spreadsheet. If you would allow me to share.
Yeah, go ahead.
It does present more questions. Let me go ahead and share it real quick. And I'm sorry about the DMs, PP. This is what they were. But I had to do that in order to get to this.
Oh,
so,
okay. I didn't even check them.
No, I sent you DMs on Twitter so that I could just pull this up. But here's my question. Don't worry about doc date. Worry about execution date. That's the most important thing. Is that preferred stock was being converted in February and March. And we had all these preferreds getting converted. So you have HBC saying we never went over the 9.9%. Yet they were converting preferred shares. They were converting warrants. They were doing all these things to get them to the point where they need to be. Now, anything highlighted in light green on my spreadsheet has been confirmed by another document. Anything that's kind of yellow has been calculated. Anything that's light blue has been estimated. And anything yellow was canceled. So these were canceled after bankruptcy occurred. And Spidey was the one that found this and pointed this out, and I got to give him credit because he realized that 180 preferred and 1.6 million stock warrants were canceled when our shares were deemed worthless. So all this comes into play, and this is a long step-by-step, day-by-day, as best as I could, step down of how we got to the 782 million down here. But I still agree that if preferreds were non-voting, we might still be around this 428 million total. That these are voting shares, these are true shares, not sold into the market. So my question is going to be, how was all this preferred converted? And then we still have, a discrepancy here between HBC's lawsuit where they're saying, oh, we never went over 9.9, but they were converting things to where it would have probably pushed them above 9.9. This is something I definitely need to look into further based off new information. And so I will dig further into this, but I just want to present this as, hey, if anybody else is out there and has knowledge on this or can enlighten me, please hit me up on Twitter, tag me, whatever. I'm going to try to dig into the bottom of this as best as I can.
I'll send
what
you.
Doesn't make sense about that is that you have the preferred shares right there. Is that on the left column? Is that what's been converted?
Yes,
Like
that's
those
what's
were
being converted. Yes.
Okay.
And I can in highlighted light green like that is I can confirm this through another filing.
So HBC said on record that they did not sell anything into the market as far as voting shares. And so they could have sold the preferred shares to somebody. But what doesn't make sense is,
that's the whole key to this, guys, is that there's no voting rights. They sold it to a third party, and they really don't apply, and they weren't sold to the street. And that's the whole defense that you'll eventually hopefully see from HBC.
and which doesn't make sense. Why is the company going after HBC at this point? They should know who they sold them to, because they have to register that.
Well, you have to sue to get discovery.
Yeah, but the company's suing HBC. This is Michael Goldberg on behalf of DK Butterfly.
But maybe Michael Goldberg only knows what he knows because, again, plan of reorg, plan of liquidation. Maybe
this
he
is
only
also
knows what they told him.
the same planning man that said he was going to sue RC as well. It's smoke and mirrors, in my opinion.
Personally, I think there's a hint of fraud here, and I think that they were sold and HBC didn't sell any of them, and I think that's what they're saying in their defense.
I think that's the obvious implication of fraud, that, hey, the total shares outstanding increased and we didn't do it, and then the discovery leads to elsewhere, and that applies pressure onto the market.
Exactly.
Which
is why I said ABC was correct and Michael is correct.
Yeah, and I think you will find through the discovery who is responsible, and that's why I believe certain board members have been pulled into a situation. And again, I think certain board members did not probably know the exact parameters of what was going on with the preferred shares and whether it was street and book. I don't know what happened, but I think this is more of the narrative that was pushed by the mainstream media, create the smoke and mirrors, and it will lead to discovery. But you will find, in my opinion, that HBC is totally innocent at the end.
Yeah. I mean, well said. It's hard to say, right? When half the fucking thing is redacted, missing information, HBC's coming back and saying, oh, we didn't do anything wrong, man. We're under provisions and blockers and things like that. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of how it transpires. I think they have pushed it to a response all the way to September. Is that right?
Yes.
For this? So we could get a response anywhere from now until September.
But keep in mind, again, I think this is being separated from the main estate, whereas you have a reorganization plan with a different final decree. And the final decree for the reorganization is actually December 31st of 2026, exactly a 3-year window from the year end of December 31st. And that reason I believe they put a 3-year window on that is because of the Knowles, and you can't have a change of ownership, which kind of really substantiates the Knowles and the reorganization. Whereas the other decree is set for December 31st of 2024, which is coming up very shortly. And that's where you're seeing the fraud claimbacks right now. You're seeing the case against HBC and so on. And I believe they're on a path for full discovery and recovery. And that's why I believe if there is to be a settlement or something later on, shareholders may be entitled to a check or some receipts of money from the fraud, but it will be totally separate from the reorganization. That's why we have 2 final decrees in this case, and it says it's jointly administered. And if you also go and look up in the court documents, it says a plan of reorganization was filed for each entity under the estate. And it said a plan of liquidation was also filed for each entity under the estate. Now you just have to determine which ones are part of the active reorganization and which ones are just kind of sitting there non-active. And we can tell that there's 9 entities that are filing post-confirmation reports. And those ones actually have the final decree date of December 31st, 2026, which shows me that they're both active, they're holding a lot of value, and we know that Bye Bye Baby is still under the TF, the Texas division, and that one's filing post-confirmation reports. So that side is part of the reorg.
Well fucking said. Wow.
I agree.
Go ahead. Travis needs to get going. Yeah, go ahead, man.
Yeah, no, I got to get going. Unfortunately, I'm getting the look, and I do have some things I got to get taken care of before the end of the night.
Sure.
So I hope anybody who's watching the stream wants to go back, screenshot what I just had up. That's the best spreadsheet that I could come up with, and I know it looks like a mess, but I do have a key at the top left. Please utilize it. Hit me up on Twitter if you have any ideas, thoughts. Beyond that, I agree with ABC and everything that we've been kind of going over. I still think that there's a play here. This is still in play. Point blank, I think that we're going to get recovery. GME is doing some phenomenal things. If you're a gambling man, play options. Me, I buy, hold, and DRS, and I'm here till the end on both of them. I mean, I'm in it to win it. Let's fucking go.
Right on. All right. You heard it from Travis. Travis, enjoy the rest of the night, man, and appreciate having you on the PP Show. Take care.
Great seeing everybody. ABC, Michael, Pang, Wally, everybody. Great seeing all y'all. Anasthera, thanks for being a good sport backstage.
It's all good, man. Look more into that one, that thing, because I feel like there's something up to that.
I have them up and I have them bookmarked. I'll look into them as soon as I can.
Right on, man. Take care.
Night. Y'all have a good night.
All right, you heard it from Travis tonight. Chad, let's get some love for Travis. One thing that I was thinking about is that, if they really want to make this the kill shot, right? I mean, again, this goes back to the don't leave me behind meme that DFV left. It could be interpreted a multitude of ways. Could be that it was us being kind of quote unquote seller boxed here to where, this is not the end of our story here. And another thing too is that, to be honest with you, I think that GameStop knows that they really need the locked up liquidity that all of a majority of our money is, which is in Bed Bath & Beyond. They need they need to unlock this equity somehow, man, because if you have an additional tens of thousands of people who can jump onto this, right, with GameStop, and they want to invest because they love Ryan Cohen, and that's the original, reason why a lot of the people who followed Ryan Cohen in Bed Bath, me being one of them, put so much money behind Bed Bath & Beyond. So, I think personally, if there's going to be a kill shot, there's everything that plays a role. It's not only just DFE being back here and GameStop kind of ripping in their swaps and their short positions, things like that. If they want to go for the goddamn kill shot, man, they have to somehow, and this goes back to the time matters, right? They have to somehow unlock our equity so that we can utilize that, man, and start essentially, putting our money to work here. You can't deny that a lot of the liquidity is locked up with whatever the fuck's going on with Bed Bath & Beyond right now. So having some cash, things like that, there's a thesis floating around, an opinion lately that there's speculation that DFE was invested into Bed Bath & Beyond, and potentially, I can't remember who it was. I think it's Howie who brought this up, and Howie claims that DFE knows that we're going to get some form of cash or equity, and a lot of people are wondering, well, how is DFE going to exercise 200 million plus of these calls? And someone did the math, and they basically think that there's going to be a scenario where we could potentially be given cash before our shares that can be utilized in this scenario here. And again, I don't know how true that is. It could be fucking bullshit for all I know. It is a thesis that's going around out there, but again, nobody really knows. It's all up in the air speculation. But if you ask me, man, if you want to really fuck these fucking shorts, man, you have to somehow bring this equity or cash back at the right moment, and where nobody's expecting it. And then boom, you have tens and thousands more people with shitloads of money that are dumping it all in the fucking options, GameStop and stuff like that. So I don't know, you could see a very real scenario like that. Nobody really knows. But if I were RC and I was this mastermind, planning all this shit, that's how I'd fucking do it personally, man. So go ahead, Pang. And then we're going to take it to Zen Foil Guru tonight. Go ahead, Pang.
I'm just going to put it out there that if they give me equity, even let's say whatever, $100,000, $200,000, maybe way more than that, I would fucking put every single goddamn penny down in out of money.
I think most people would, right? It's if everybody got cash, right now, I think probably 99% of the community would go immediately over to GameStop and dump it all into there, right?
Especially if it happens before June 21st.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking serious fucking option FOMO, man, right now. And again, some people are tapped out, man. Some people are all in, man, so it's very challenging right now. So, that would be a blessed scenario, right? Where, the equity could come at a later time, which I'm sure people would be fine with if we were handed cash for our some of our shares. I think that would make a lot of people happy. But again, it's so uncertain with where we're at, right? And it's so uncertain with how this is going to play out. Like, I don't know. That's just if I were RC, that's how I do it, and I'd figure out a fucking way to make it happen. So let's take it over to Tinfoil real quick, and then Anastera had something that he wanted to share with us too. Zenfoil, what's up, man? What's going on tonight, Tinfoil?
Hey, so real quick, I wanted to jump on earlier. I was a little caught up when y'all were talking about you were discussing the HBC stuff, and if I'm not mistaken, there were a few board members involved in that suit as well. Is that correct? Or was that the JP Morgan one? I can't remember. I remember there were a handful. I'll just get to the point because it's something I thought of for a while.
There's an HBC suit, and then there's the board suit, and then there's the 16B with Ryan Cohen.
Right. So we talk about Lombard sometimes, and she was the one installed.
Yes.
And I speculate. So if there's anything that I've been able to, abductively reason since this has been going on, and with everything, and as we know in finance and the whole, they're all buddies, right? So my thoughts, I mean, they're going to go to the same parties, and then whatever. The point I'm trying to make is, what if Cohen's intention was to install a few, good actors to kind of countermand the bad actors? What if one of those bad actors was either maybe playing like double agent or was actually compromised, incentivized to maybe go against what Cohen's wishes were, and then halfway through that had maybe a guilty conscience and came, my question is, if there was some kind of RICO sting that we fantasize about, if theorized about, is if there's an ongoing fraud, if the fraud's already been committed, could essentially maybe like a plea deal, would that be entrapment, or would that be essentially against the rules in an investigation? Could DOJ essentially have gotten involved in this and then brought that, found the compromised party and then said, hey, you know what, we figured you out, you can snitch on all your buddies, and we'll let you off with a slap on the wrist. And that I'm not trying to throw anybody on their bus, but it's interesting, and to kind of maybe echo the sentiment that ABC's been touting, that HBC is a good entity. There are nefarious entities, and in order to, again, that smoke and mirrors theory, in order to navigate that, he said it weeks ago when it first dropped. I remember distinctly. It was just like, I have to call out everybody in order not to draw too much attention. If I knew who it was, right? Mm-hmm. If I knew exactly who it was, and that's the only person I went after, man, you better believe the hard drives are getting fried, freaking papers are getting shredded, right? I mean, that's my theory, and I agree with ABC on that. And so that's just my take on it, and that somebody good could have been tempted. I mean, hey, you're only going to get so much money if you do this the right way. Well, I come over here behind closed doors. I'm going to show you what we're up to.
Well, I will say this, it's hard to say whether or not Hudson Bay, as of right now, is in fact nefarious or not. As we saw with maybe, we did see Dragonfly Hudson Bay LLC, which kind of leads me to believe that maybe possibly there was a subsidiary filed under them that connects them to Cohen, maybe. Here's the deal that kind of leans, that always makes me kind of lean more towards that Hudson Bay potentially wasn't or was in fact not nefarious, is the fact that Ryan Cohen, who we know is a good actor, is being sued for a 16B, and Hudson Bay is also being sued for a 16B. So I don't know. It's like at times you're second guessing yourself, and it's like, how the fuck does this make sense here? Like, How is Hudson Bay being sued for a 16B? How the fuck is Ryan Cohen being sued for a 16B? How the fuck is the board being sued for? Who the fuck was goddamn good in this company, man? Who the fuck?
Right.
Was there anybody in this goddamn company? Was everybody stabbing each other's backs behind closed? Like, what the fuck is this, man? Like, it's like everybody's guilty. What the fuck, man? I at times I try to make sense of it, man. And the only thing that makes sense is, sorry, what?
It shows impartiality, though, and it allows you to continue the narrative. Like, let's be honest, guys. RC bought in at 9.8. It's literally proven in black and white that the CEO at that time accelerated the share buyback as soon as RC arrived, and it pushed him over. So, in a sense, there's not even a case for 16B. Let's put it that point blank.
Right?
But
yeah.
There's still a case for it. And yet RC has delayed it and delayed the discovery, changed lawyers. Again, the HBC thing, show impartiality, continue the narrative of both dilution, bad guys, and only announce or kind of discover or let your cards be shown when the timing is right. And the timing's not right yet because they're still pursuing these avenues. I believe these avenues will not be pursued when they make an announcement. And that's why they divided the estate into two things. Because if it was all under one chapter, you would have to go through all the fraud, recovery, and discovery before you could emerge. But you don't have to in this situation because they separated both aspects of the liquidation and recovery fraud compared to the reorg. And that's the basis to this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's totally fucking weird. Yeah, go ahead, Wally, and then we'll let Tinfoil close up, and then Anastera wants to share something, and then we'll call it a night tonight. Go ahead.
It almost seems as though, like, as more like this, as more becomes publicized with, just for example, this HBC docket we spent some time talking about tonight. There's more and more sort of mounting evidence pointing at there's all sorts of nefarious activity going on the board. Like you just went on a rant about TPP. Like, who the fuck are the good guys here, right? It almost seems like the plan of reorganization, like the plan of liquidation is pushing forward, and as it moves forward, there's more and more nefarious activity being found. And then this redacted plan of reorganization is sitting there in the background, and it is just the backup plan. And all the powers that be don't want the reorganization to happen, because with that comes cash, comes equity, comes us being made whole, comes the basket blowing up, comes, MOAS, which is what we're here for.
Yeah.
But it's almost like they're pressuring through liquidation, saying, hey, we're getting closer and closer. We're not giving up. We're figuring this out. Do you really want this dirty laundry exposed to the whole world through the justice system and to be found guilty? Or if we organize, another thing we've been talking about on the show for the past couple of weeks is, what if this is a planned demolition? And that gives sort of a golden parachute or a graceful way out for these, just to oversimplify it, the bad guys on the other side of this trade, where if we can go through the reorganization and not have this blown up through your cronyist cabal of bullshit, we can emerge and you can gracefully disappear, use your power and influence, but die with some dignity and not in a jail cell.
And I'll just add to that, Wally, that's exactly how I kind of look at this situation. Is all the attention is being on the liquidation, the fraud, the recovery, the complaints, the suits. And as it goes on, more and more will be detailed. And I believe we will get to the next point, which will be RICO. And that's really kind of the pressure aspect to this, is you show a little bit of discovery, you show progress, you show that. Meanwhile, this crown jewel is sitting in the back, ready to go at any point in time. And that's really kind of the nuclear bomb to everything, because all they have to do, and because it's under 2 final decrees, and because Chapter 11 is about reorganization, all they have to do is simply reorganize and come out of bankruptcy, and that's going to deal with one major problem.
Yeah.
But how do you make the people accountable? You go through a public discovery showing what you're discovering along the way, and that puts pressure on them too.
Yeah, and one thing I wanted to add too, and then we'll let Anastera go. So one of the things that I wanted to add tonight too is that the more I've been thinking about this Kansas City shuffle, right, and I truly believe that a lot of this stuff was timed for a reason, right? Like Icon's exit out of Newell, then you see a shelf offering from Newell come forth the weekend after that GME did theirs, right? So it's very bizarre. Not only that, they've essentially they had 45 million shares. I mean, I don't think it's that crazy to think that the Kansas City Shuffle has to do with all eyes being on GameStop right now, and no one's eyes are really on like the Bed Bath stuff going on behind the scenes. Really, just like a lot of us are covering it, but nobody's really paying attention to it. No one's paying attention to IEP, more importantly. And as we know, one of the famous things that Carl Icahn said is that he's planning something that these guys are never going to forget. That was over a year ago. We haven't heard anything. Jump to today. All the talk is about GameStop, because it's fucking ripping and people are making money and DFV's back. And that's the Kansas City Shuffle. It's a distraction right now to what actually is happening behind the scenes here. And what I think is that all of our eyes are on GameStop right now. Something is most certainly happening behind the scenes with Bed Bath & Beyond or IEP or something pertaining to an acquisition or merger here. So I don't know, how the Kansas City Shuffle is going to play in here is going to be really interesting. But I truly think that all of our attention is straight up on GameStop right now. And our attention is kind of taken elsewhere with what's going on behind the scenes. And I do truly think that it's a lot closer than it is farther. So Anastera, let's hear it, man. And then we'll let everyone give some closing thoughts here tonight. Go ahead, man. Take it away for us.
Thanks, PP. It feels a little bit odd to like throw this in here because we're basically having discussion of how maybe GameStop isn't as important as what's going on behind the scenes. But you remember how like a couple of weeks ago I was going to bring forward some of the old DD from GameStop, like all these connections between Citadel, all these market makers, and all that sort of stuff. You remember that?
Yes.
So there was a guy who messaged me on Discord. His name's Jerson, and shout out to him because he actually linked me basically a complete by date list of all the DD, not just in order, but also a secondary site called gmetimeline.org that you can actually track the different events by the movement of the stock, right? So let me just go ahead and link this in here, and you can link this in the YouTube chat or whatever, because this is something I think everybody deserves to see, because this is pretty much everything, and lined up by the timeline, and I think it's an excellent resource for anyone who's still just getting into this, who might be like trying to figure out what's going on and like kind of add up like where we're at with this. Sorry if I'm like a little rambly right now. My mind is fried from that stuff that was going on in the back.
No, no worries. Do you want me to share this link you said with the chat, or what were you?
Yeah, share it with everybody. Share it with the chat. Share it with that. It's a really cool thing. Let me go ahead and I can share it right now.
Let me read back some of these tips while you're finding that real quick here. My apologies, fellas, for missing some of these. So we got Bob out there with the PP membership. Appreciate your support, Bob. Enjoy those PP emojis, man. Appreciate your support. We also got Why So Serious with the 2. Wally Butt Fuck back from shield training camp. We also got King Weenie with the 2. Where Jake, where Jake, where Plur, where AJ, where Sloppy, where? It's the goddamn Truman Show, man. I don't know who the fuck's a plant anymore, or who is put here or that, or I have no fucking goddamn clue, fellas. Honest to God, man. Realize, where the fuck's Realize at, man? He'd love this tinfoil shit. I don't get it, man. I truly don't. We also got a tip here from Blair with 100. Appreciate the love, man. Just a thank you to Ryan Cohen, the Icon family, DFE, and all the law firms that are out there that are out for what's right, even though ape eat banana, keep strong, motherfuckers. Right on, Blair. Appreciate your support tonight, man. Appreciate everybody's support out there in the chat. Again, appreciate the love. We got Mo Money with the 5. Tinfoil Guru is getting more shirtless as we get closer to Moas. When we Moas, he will be naked. All right. We'll have to see that for sure. Javerick with the 2. DFV has Jupiter-sized balls. What an aspiration. Absolutely, man. Salty Lizard with the 2. Ransom Fund. Are we there yet, PP? I don't think so. We got Sarara with the 149. Appreciate the love, Sarara. We got Blair out there with the 20. I also meant Pulte. Also very much appreciated in the last $100 chat thing. For sure, Pulte too. Right on. We got some love for Pulte as well. And we got Orange and Tum out there with the 5. Jake and ABC, not so much. It's Wally and and Anasthera's insights I tune in for. All right, you heard it from Argentum. All right, go ahead, Anasthera, if you wanted to.
Yeah, let me just showcase this real quick. Go ahead and share my screen. So do you see this this is an interactive timeline. So you can actually check to see what has happened on these particular days and all the relevant information that might have, all the events that happen on any of these particular days. And you can sort it by the significance of these things as well as the different types of categories. So it's an incredible tool for organizing information for GameStop as like we've done it. And you can see that this thing is kept like very up to date. Like this is all the stuff that's been happening recently right here.
Oh, wow. This is good.
Yeah, dude, this thing is so fucking cool. And I also wanted to show the other link that I have is just a list of all the DD that is in all the different, like you have stuff from Wall Street Bets, some from investing, GME, Superstonk, everything. And it's in a perfect spreadsheet that's sorted by date. It's so good, man. Like,
yeah, I would love to dive into it Friday. I don't know if you're going to be around Friday night, but hopefully you are, and maybe we can actually like spend the night going through every single detail here.
Well, I mean, you would need more than just a single night, man. There's just that much information to go over this. This is sort of more of a like look into it on your own time thing. Like if there's something particular, like a particular.
All right, we can cover parts of it.
Yeah, I'll see if I can come up with some highlights. In particular, I think what's interesting is these particular peaks here. That there's usually some sort of event that GameStop has, like for example, this one right here releases. GameStop has usually done something interesting or useful at this particular time. So that might be something that we would want to take a look at because there's definitely a lot more going on behind the scenes behind these things now that we've learned a little bit more about how these markets are, I don't want to say working because they're clearly not working, but how the shills are basically like, and the market makers, how are like planning all this stuff. And combined with Richard Newton's information that he's been gathering, I feel like we can put this whole thing together with this.
Right on.
Yeah. The only other thing I wanted to bring up is what?
Anasthera's the kid from Hot Tub Time Machine. Why do you kind of sound like him? That's weird, man.
Oh my God.
Go ahead, man. Let's hear it.
So I haven't mentioned this to anybody, but I have a security in my computer share account that I didn't buy. It's just there, and it's been sitting there for like 2 years. Do any of you guys have this? It's just GME.
No.
I just have one unit of this. There's no price attached to it. I looked.
You have a picture of it?
Yeah, actually.
A V is a reissue.
Yeah, well, you got to see this. Like,
how the fuck would you have a GME V?
You got to see this, man. So this has been in my account for like ever since I DRS for like literally for years. So let me just stop sharing this shit right here real quick. Let me share the other thing. Let's see if I can fucking.
I gotta see this GME V.
Yeah, can you see this?
Hold on, let me approve your screen here.
Watch your account number.
Yeah, careful.
Oh shit!
Did I not black that out?
I don't know. I already shared it. People already screenshotting it probably. I put it backstage. Is it good to share? I can't see it backstage. I don't know. As long as you protected yourself.
Well, I mean, the account is like there's no account information here.
All right, whatever. Who cares?
Yeah, it's fine.
Nobody docs Anasthera. Right, go ahead.
Well, you can see some of my securities here, but look at this thing right here at the bottom. You see this?
GME V. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Zoom in on that shit.
Yeah. Let me just zoom the fuck in.
Oh, GME V is Innotainment.
GME Innotainment Inc.
Is that an actual like ticker?
You can look it up. It does show up, but there's some weird shit going on with that. It goes back to like
what the hell is that?
I honestly have no idea.
GME V?
Yeah.
GME V. What's it? How do you what is it called?
GME Innotainment Incorporated.
Innotainment.
Looks like a shell company.
That's his BBY shares.
Well, I don't know.
There's no quote for it. It doesn't trade or anything. There's no quote, nothing on it.
Yeah, so I pose this question. What the fuck is this?
Fuck is that?
I've had the
okay.
Yeah, because we were talking about how like the V was like a redistribution of this sort of thing, right?
Yes, yeah, but
So
why
I was
would
like,
it?
why would it be here in GME? I have no fucking idea. I
What
posed
did
this
you
question
buy
to-
recently? When did that
Oh,
pop up in your
This
computer
popped
share?
up when I first DRS'd some of my initial GameStop shares like 2 years ago, and one day it was just there.
Does anybody else have this shit in their?
I think it. I might be misremembering this because I didn't like mark down the day or anything for when this happened, but I think it was around the time of the reverse split because I was like looking through my like
2 years
if I'd
ago?
gotten the
Yeah,
reverse
it's
split.
nothing if it was 2 years ago.
Yeah, so I don't know. So
it's an OTC stock, so it's on the pink. It's on the pink sheet.
Yeah,
right
but
now with zero
but the weird
volume.
thing is I
That's
didn't
weird.
buy it. Like, how do I even have this? I don't even understand what it is. So like,
Maybe
I don't
someone
know. It's
sent you
mysterious.
it 2 years ago. Maybe they-
Yeah, but who, right?
I have no fucking idea. I don't know.
And it's there. Call ComputerShare.
Yeah,
And tell
ask
them to tell you what it
Be
is.
like, who the
Follow
fuck
here.
put this fucking stock that doesn't exist here? And ask them what the fuck's it about.
Yeah,
Anna,
I'll
Sarah,
do
let's start with you. Let's get some closing thoughts as we wrap up the show tonight. Let's hear it tonight, man. What would you like the good people at home to know? We got over 9,900 people tuning in, man, from X and also YouTube. What would you like these good people at home to know? Let's hear it tonight, Anna, Sarah.
I mean, it's the greatest time to be alive right now, guys. Holy shit. Like, there's so much going on. My brain is exploding.
Right on.
And yeah, all right. Have a good night, guys.
All right, you heard it from Anna. Oh, go ahead, Pang.
Do we talk about the at sea or not?
Dude. Okay, I'll leave you all with this. Okay, I wrote this down here, like, because I have to look into this later. Look into corn, Argentina, Epstein, Federal Mogul, and American Rail Car. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
You make sense of it. I don't fucking know.
I don't fucking know either, man. Yeah, we'll have to fucking look into that for sure. All right. Well, with that being said, Anna, Sarah, enjoy the rest of the night, and we'll see you on the next one, hopefully.
All right. Yeah, I'll see you guys next time.
All right. Take care. Chat, let's get some love for Anna, Sarah on his way out. All right, let's go ahead and take it over to Tinfoil tonight. Tinfoil, let's hear it, man. What would you like these good people at home to know, man, as we start to wrap up the show tonight?
Real quick, right after I took my shirt off, my phone gave me the too hot warning and the little thermometer on it. Yeah, I thought it was hilarious. No, I just, always, all of you know how I feel about you, how I feel about this community. I feel like we're all arm in arm together in this, just as individual investors with our own thesis, with our own take on it. But I feel like we're all kind of lining up arm in arm. We're seeing the finish line, and not any one of us is going to go to win that race. We're all going to go through that finish line together. And I can't really thank you enough, PP, for what you do. ABC, Michael, the three of you have really been the glue, the duct tape of all this, and everybody just absolutely is grateful. I know that. And on that note, two things. First of all, of course, fuck you, pay us.
Right on.
And I eat crayons. Shout out to Crayon Green.
All right. Right on, man. You heard it from Tinfoil Guru, man, the crayon eating tinfoil legend, man. With that being said, Tinfoil, enjoy the rest of the night, man. Chat, let's get some love for Tinfoil on his way out, and we'll see you next time, man. Take care. All right, you heard it from Tinfoil Guru tonight, fellas. Excellent stuff. Let's go ahead and take it over to Wally Buck. Wally, let's hear it, man. Give us some closing thoughts here as we start to wrap up the show tonight, man. There's not a wire under that hat of yours, is there, Wally? Go ahead, man. Let's hear it.
No, just my earbuds. Well, first, just a quick humble request for a PP level up for myself and anyone else that's been accumulating GameStop over the past few weeks. I've managed to pick up an additional 600 shares and have 20 call options for July 19th at a $25 strike that I got. I bought them as a hair trigger decision as soon as DFV made his first like on that Thursday before.
Good shit, man. Excellent.
Held him through 80 down to the bottom, and
wow.
Decided to, didn't sell any. So
all right, let's get you a fucking PP level up out there, man. Congrats to Wally Buck. All right. Excellent stuff, man. Any other closing thoughts tonight, Wally, that you'd like to add? Let's hear it, man.
God, there's too much to go over. And one closing thought, I hope to come back another time soon. But what really is on my mind right now is I'm just dreaming about the prospect of DFV exercising those calls. And when he does so, maybe making some sort of submission. He'd have to buy a few more shares, but getting over that 5% limit and writing his own activist letter, as an official introduction to the GameStop board, representing himself as someone that wants to participate in GameStop and the value that he adds being a participant in the investment community. Can you imagine the most successful, I would have to say DFE is the most successful retail trader in my lifetime.
Oh, in history.
Imagine having in history. I mean, $50,000 to $50 million to 3 years later.
300 million.
Today, after market at 32, 360 million. So imagine having that talent as just an investor on the bench with Ryan Cohen leading that investment committee with $87 billion of debt from naked short selling going back a decade as a debt that Wall Street owes to us, with these brilliant people that are, young in their careers, a lot of value, a lot of life to give, a lot of energy to give. I'm just so excited to hopefully have that happen. That's a bit speculative, but the last thing I do want to also mention is Sun Devil Rogue pointing out that rule 91.9 and how just 3 days later, when Hertz was granted that, the ability to use that rule, equity was issued. I think it's really interesting that today, so that 91.9 admission was made yesterday, and then today, I'm not a Toy RF shareholder. I would have liked to have grabbed a few. I just kind of missed that boat, I think. But they're all seeing messages today that there's some sort of cash payout for a merger and acquisition. So as part of the Kansas City shuffle, I don't know, 91.9 getting approved yesterday, Toy RF, those people getting some sort of notification in their account, that plus, 2 days plus today is this Friday on 6/9. I'm really excited for, June 9th, for June 21st, and then, July 14th, and maybe as far out as 7/41, July 41st. We'll see there's a lot to be excited for this summer.
Excellent. Good stuff, man. Excellent stuff. Well, you heard it from Wally Buck tonight. Chat, let's get some love for Wally on his way out. Wally, appreciate you joining on the show tonight and lending your opinion, man. So with that being said, chat, let's get some love for Wally, and Wally, enjoy the rest of the night, man.
Love you all. Good luck to us all. Bye.
Take care, man. All right, you heard it from Wally Buck. All right, Pang wants to show something. We got a message here backstage, I guess, from @C.
This one's mine.
Oh, sorry, that was for Kinky Sex.
Sorry.
He sent like 4 videos on corn, so
I'll
30 minutes each.
Yeah,
I'll do mine real quick and then I'll leave.
All right, go ahead, Kinky.
First, I want to ask Michael real quick on his TA. What's the indicator at the bottom of your chart? What are you using?
So I'm actually just trying to look where it seems like the algorithm is reacting to some sort of trend line, and it usually narrows down to a decision point. And so I just kind of see, I don't know, kind of what I want to say artifacts, like a ghost, kind of like if you're looking at a chest x-ray, right, or something, like you have to kind of know what you're looking for to see it, and then all of a sudden once you see it, there's like a line, but the line's kind of hard to see. So I just see where lines seem to add up, and if it seems to be pointing at some kind of decision point, then I see it's like a question's being asked, and then it's like, okay, what's that question? And it's either going to go usually up or down pretty hard, and it's been accurate. I mean, not that I can guess every time whether it's going to go up or down, but for example, my previous one was it went down hard, right exactly where that decision point was, but that was where the E-Trade had their drama, and so it's like, I don't know if they knew that was going to come out beforehand. I have no idea, but there's another decision point coming up tonight or early in the morning, and I think that's going to be a really bullish one, because usually, let's say that I think that the decision point should be good, and let's say it's bad instead. That means that the next one, it has to make up for that, and it will it will mitigate that, and then it will still go up from there. So I think tonight or tomorrow morning is going to be really, really
I
exciting.
think we're going to be explosive. Yeah, for sure. We'll have to see what happens. And again, I think that the reason why DFE is not showing his position is because when the stock price falls, because a lot of these short, greedy assholes out there just keep shorting for whatever reason. I think he's exercising these calls. And if he were to show his position, we would actually see that reflected. We would see that he is exercising these calls and he is gaining more shares. And I don't think he wants to give that kind of ammunition to obviously the enemy. That's my assumption why we're not seeing the post lately. So there you have it. All right, Kinky. Appreciate having you on. Yeah.
Well, hold on. So I'm going to go on record for my prediction on this. I think we get 2 sets of shares. I think one set of shares will stay canceled, and it'll be like an ownership mark for everybody to collect future fraud settlements and clawbacks. The second set of shares will go back to trading with whoever took on the nulls and the shares, and then I think we get a cash payout for any extra carve-outs. I also don't think it's Ryan Cohen or Carl Icahn. I think it's a group of investors, because you can't deny RC's involvement, and there's too many coincidences for Icahn not to be involved. And then last, I would say shout out to Ignoble Victory. That guy is a genius, and this is a tribute to him. And I think you guys should apply this to your thinking.
All right. All right, you heard it from Kinky Sex tonight, man. I swear to God, like, what if that guy is Anasthera, man? Like, what the fuck? Could you imagine? Like, he's like a fucking actor in real life. All right, let's go ahead and start wrapping up the show here tonight. Let's take it over to Pang. Pang, give us some thoughts, man, as we start to wrap up the show tonight this evening. What would you like the good people at home to know?
Man, that moment when you said that there might be a possibility, even when our tinfoil was stating that what's it called, time is essential, and we could possibly be getting money for like our Bed Bath.
It would make sense, right?
Holy fuck, I would degen so goddamn hard.
It's going all into fucking GameStop, man. All options, all the 20s. All right. If BB gets his cash, all 20s, man, for June. All right.
Oh, fucking exercise every single
in
one.
In the money or near the money.
Yeah.
Come on, Michael.
No, I'm just saying, do what you want, but
I'll hold the gate open at 128, bro.
Right on. Pang, give us some closing thoughts, man.
Okay, so in between trying to write down notes and pulling up all these pages that you guys sent me, I was just thinking, I don't know if it's very related, but Martin Scarelli is on Spaces now for some random reason.
Yes, he's the guy that they took the Wu-Tang album from.
I know who he is, but I was just kind of curious. Is it okay to bring him on ever, or that'd be
this show?
Yeah,
I mean, he's a huge bear, but I guess we could.
Okay. No, I mean, like, I don't. He's pretty. He's pretty.
We can prove him wrong.
Yeah, hit him up.
Yeah.
Let him know. Like, tell him to fucking pull up, dude. We're here.
All right, man. I'm gonna shout out to Martin Scarelli. Come on the show, bro.
Yeah. Tell him to pull the fuck up. Don't tell him to come on the show. Tell him to pull the fuck up. All right. All right, Pang. We loved having you on the show tonight. Enjoy the rest of the night.
Have a good one, guys.
All right. Take care, Pang. See you. All right, let's go ahead and take it over to Michael. Michael, let's hear it, man. As we start to wrap up the show tonight, what would you like the good people at home to know, my man?
I mean, I think we're going to see a lot of exciting things. I mean, one, I've been kind of tracking the VIX and how it goes with the SPY and NVIDIA and stuff, and the VIX is kind of bottomed out. So, I mean, I don't know, that's suggesting that something crazy is going to happen tonight. I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to shake the markets. I think GameStop's going to run hard. And also, someone messaged me and they said that AMC just had their earnings call, and they said that only 18% of their voting shares, or the votes that came in for their for the vote were valid. The rest were rehypothecated. So that's kind of interesting, that now they have like that sort of data. I don't know what that's going to do tomorrow to AMC, but as far as AMC and GameStop being tied together, I mean, it could be exciting. And the last thing is, I also got another message from someone else that was, had something even though right now is the greatest time to be alive, there are certain people that are like have actually bad things happen in their lives. So, sending, any positive energy, well wishes to anyone that's actually having a hard time right now, even though right now is really exciting. So, love you all.
Right
and
on.
I'll see you later.
All right, you heard it from Michael tonight. Chat, let's get some love for Michael on his way out. Michael, enjoy that workout, and we'll see you next time, man. All right, so real quick, I'm going to bring our attention to this last post of the night. Someone actually wanted us to bring this up real quick. Let me just let me read the rest of these tips here, and then we'll call it a night tonight. Watt DC with the 2. Says PP sub nuke is on there. Thanks, Jerson. We also got Mo Money with the 2. GMEV deals with Asian artists. Blair with the 20 says, by the way, Ross really rocks for the Gen Xer. We got Javerick also with the 2. Agree. Kansas City Shuffle is baby coming back. Honestly, I think that could be a very real possibility here. Real quick, as we end the night tonight, some people were asking who Moon Kitty is. I heard he's doing a live stream at 11:30 p.m. EST. Some people are saying, I guess, that he's already live right now, maybe. I'm excited to partner with the Extra Life community to raise $74.10 for Children's Hospital across North America. Extra Life, a fundraising program of Children's Miracle Network hospitals, brings together gamers, creators, artists, and passionate individuals to support local communities. Join the live stream as we play games and work together to make a difference. Your donation will go directly to purchasing GameStop gift cards for sick children. It says here, helping to bring smiles and joy during challenging times. It says here, every dollar counts, and together we can make a significant impact on the lives of these young patients. Thank you for your generosity and support. Jamaica, let's show them what we got. And also, someone pointed out backstage here, they said, I think it was Buki. Buki says it's linked to a charity with Jamaica. Connected to Jamaica. I don't know. We'll have to look into that. But with that being said, we'll go ahead and start wrapping up the show tonight. ABC, let's hear it, man. As we start to wrap up the show, what would you like the good people at home to know?
I think I'll leave it off with a little bit of tinfoil. So we know that DFE is having a birthday this coming, June 8th? I think
yeah, his birthday is Saturday. So Friday night, we'll crack open a few, and we'll even go past midnight. We'll celebrate DFE's birthday, man. Saturday.
Birthday?
Yeah, yeah.
That'll be awesome.
We'll bring cupcakes, man.
Show.
Sorry, what was that, ABC?
I said maybe ABC will even get drunk on show with you, bro.
All right, yeah, no, I think that'd be a fantastic time, man. Backstage RC can show up, all that shit, man. It'd be a good time.
So my tinfoil being June 11th is GME annual shareholder meeting, right? I think it's June 11th.
It's June 11th is earnings. Annual meeting is the 13th.
Okay, so the GME earnings is June 11th. Just to go back in history and just give a little bit of kind of tinfoil on this, many historian experts have calculated the day, and there's some historians say that the Battle of Troy, where the town of Troy burnt down through a Trojan horse, happened on April 24th, but many of them say it happened on June 11th. Mm-hmm. So a Trojan horse showed up on June 11th in the year 1184 BC. Let's also go to the year 1776. Believe it or not, a bunch of guys, Roosevelt, whoever, all the guys that formed the Declaration of Independence, they actually formed a committee for the Declaration of Independence on June 11th. E.T. was released on June 11th, and June 11th is actually National Corn Day. So I'll leave you all with that. Have a good night, my man, and I'll see you tonight.
All right, right on. You heard it from ABC tonight. Chat, let's get some love for ABC. ABC, appreciate having you on, and hope to see you Friday night, man.
Cheers, brother.
Take care. All right, there you fucking have it, man. The fucking PP show. We got together. We talked some DD. Hell, even ABC, a few of the fellas like Pang, Michael, and a few others, man, showed up to have a good old time tonight, man. So with that being said, I appreciate you guys tuning in, man, and listen to us bounce a couple ideas. Hell, even Kevin Malone showed up too, man. Again, man, you know, and I've said it so many fucking times, fellas. It has to be soon. I mean, it's got to be. Fucking look at GameStop, man. You know, like, I don't know. If I was RC and there was a scenario with like Bed Bath shareholders, like, you know, I truly would want them to be a part of this GameStop run too. You know, I'm sure that, you know, a lot of people's money's kind of locked up in certain areas. Some people are all in GME. Some people are in both. Some people are all in Bed Bath. So, you know, I hope to see that maybe we get some cash here and can utilize it for some of this run here. So with that being said, we're going to bring the show to a close, man. Good luck in the markets tomorrow, man. Cannot wait to hear all about it. And with that being said, I appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. Whether you watch the show, you donate, whatever it may be, I appreciate you guys showing up and just hearing us out, man. So with that being said, enjoy the rest of the night. We'll leave you guys off with a dildo slap on the way out. And with that being said, love you all. We'll see you guys Friday for our PP After Dark episode. There will not be a show tomorrow. We will get back together on Friday night. And hopefully we're having a beer or two celebrating, man, for DFV's birthday on Saturday. So that being said, enjoy the fucking dildo slap on the way out. We'll see you guys Friday night. Take care. Love you all. Peace.